Happy New Year, everybody. I know it's a little bit early, but if you're anywhere other than the United States, it's probably a new year somewhere. I'm glad that you guys are joining us for tonight's New Year's Eve stream. And I'm glad that you guys are joining us tonight. And of course, joining us as always, our wonderful hosts from Conspiracy Pilled. If you notice, they are in the same box, which means they're in the same room. It's Tom and Abby. Nope. PJ and Abby.
It's like, geez, don't tell anyone's wife or husband.
She's actually a hologram. That's part of the conspiracy. It's a lot of fun. So,
and of course, we have Tom over from American Float. I'm going to get it right tonight.
And I'm Frank. Nice to meet you. Glad to see everyone here and glad to see everyone's made it. If you could, make sure that you like, share, subscribe, grab a link in the description of the show below. Help us all grow these channels that we're all on, these different platforms, Rumble, Odyssey, and YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. And as Hunter Biden did acutely state it, being on time is racism. So we don't want to be racist, and that's why we weren't on time. Or as Trump would say, complicated things.
Yeah,
important business.
Our New Year's resolution is to be less white. So every stream is going to be late for the rest of forever.
And how late, you'll never know.
Exactly.
And we're also going to stop working out. What was the other things that have been racisms this year?
Drinking water was
I
racism.
hope barbecue or buffalo chicken dip's not racism, because I'm going to dive in.
It's
New Year's Eve.
That is appropriating spice.
I will say, though, it was kind of a sad thing, starting the year with 7 chickens and ending with 6, but really good dip.
Gotta get that chicken from somewhere. Have you seen those prices in the grocery stores, Tom?
Yeah, I'm just kidding, though. We're not eating our chickens. For the people that send me money for seed, I'm not eating the chickens. They're just
I was going to say, there was 7 yesterday. I'm going to be disappointed if one's gone. So
no, I gave you guys a dozen eggs, though. Did you guys like those?
They're great.
Yeah.
We went over.
You didn't use them yet, huh?
No, we're not home
I wasn't
yet.
expecting you to, by the way. I was just saying, like,
They're
I caught you.
beautiful.
I meant they're great as in I like all the pretty colors.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, we didn't.
They're
We were
beautiful.
actually thinking about frying them up.
They
for
already
breakfast.
look like they're decorated a little bit, don't they?
Yeah.
We were going to actually have some for breakfast, and then we just all skipped breakfast today.
Yeah, we did not have breakfast.
Yeah, we woke up a little late.
But we
You did that yesterday, too, you bunch of breakfast skippers.
I know.
Staying up late, sleeping in.
Pretty much.
Abby, sometime get it out.
Yesterday, PJ and I went and had lunch in person with Tom and his wife, and it was so much fun. And then we met the chickens, and it was the best time ever.
Yep, it was a lot of fun.
So this coming New Year, Tom, are you going to start a chicken city like Tim Pool and past your chickens?
You know what? I had a backup birds channel, but I ended up having to use it as like my backup channel eventually, which was the reason I'd set it up. But no, I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm just going to make little chicken updates and homestead specials, those kind of things to keep people updated on what's going on around the house, around the farm.
Hunter said that Abby replaced one of your chickens with a fed bot, so you might want to keep your discussions of overthrowing the government on the DL.
I was going to say, a lot of people say birds aren't real, but it's only partially true. Those birds were real. But now that Abby's been to your house, they're definitely not. You do not.
I was going to say, I found the decoy egg, but there was a listening device in it.
So weird.
So yeah, what a year that we had in 2022. A lot of big stories, and of course, we were discussing right before we came on air how this week typically is a very slow news week, but a lot still happened this weekend. We're going to talk a little bit about the Andrew Tate and Greta Thunberg feud and the feds coming in to swoop up Andrew Tate.
Yeah, I heard Andrew Tate got arrested for human trafficking Greta Thunberg.
Yo, that's a storyline we haven't heard yet.
I heard he assaulted her, which is wild, but she is above age now. So, I mean, at least it wasn't a child rape. It was just a normal one. Can we say that?
Bought pizza, which is definitely illegal.
Do you think that was intentional? Like he used the pizza box as a prop? He's like, check it out. Human trafficking pizza box.
Definitely seemed like a prop, didn't it? Because in the middle of his video, it's like, "Hey, bring me pizza,"
and
then he sets it like right
and make sure it's super greasy and it's by a non-recycled cardboard box. He says that, so I'm like, oh, well, he's clearly just anti-green.
Yeah, was there actual pizza in the box? Did we see him pull out?
They looked like props.
It's a mystery.
Well, even if it was pizza, it was a prop because the whole point, I think, of the video was I'm going to smoke cigars, drive fast cars, and not recycle. Like that seemed to be the whole point of it.
Yeah, PJ informed us.
That's just the 70s.
His form of fighting back at people against people like Greta Thunberg is just take a bunch of plastic straws and dump in any water supply he sees.
Especially if I suspect any turtles have the audacity to live there.
Yeah.
Tortoise Beach, just go and pour a bunch in.
Yeah, and then I make those little rings for beer cans. I just toss those in the Great Lakes. I haven't caught any dolphins in them yet, like I was told. The reason I need to cut them up, but I'm still trying.
I'm just doing my part to kill Moby Dick.
Yeah.
There's not any whales in the Great Lakes, is there?
You don't.
Well,
there
have you
could be.
seen some of the?
You haven't seen some of the
people who
girls I
live
went to
here?
high school with.
I'm pretty sure Michigan is the fattest state in the United States.
No, that's
There
Texas, dude. Don't even lie.
Is
It's
it?
Texas. Yeah, Texas has like the
Okay.
top
bigger in
3.
Texas.
It's like Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio. Check me on that one.
I want to look this up because I'm pretty sure Michigan is if
Please
it's not
do.
number 1. It's in the top.
Well,
Texas
there was
is the fattest twice over.
there was a conspiracy that the lake, the lost, was it Lake Ness? No, the
You got it.
Loch Ness.
Loch
Loch
Ness?
Ness. Loch
The Lake
Ness,
Ness. The Lake
yes,
Lake
yeah.
Ness.
was actually spotted in the Great Lakes.
Oh, they had an exhibit for that. You had to pay $3.50 to see it.
there was a pretty convincing video of some kind of sea monster over in Grand Haven, but that was probably 10 years ago. Have you ever seen that video, Tom?
No, but I do remember seeing there was a while an art prize installation of a dragon here in the Grand River in Grand Rapids, which looked cool for a moment, but then at night you were like, "Get that thing out of here. It's really suspicious." Yeah, it's obviously demon worship if you look at it just the right way through a beer
We were
lens.
all wrong. Abby's from the fattest state, West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Yeah.
Wow.
Betty Crocker land out there.
Who's number 2?
Everyone
then?
cooking with butter.
We got West Virginia, Mississippi, Kentucky, Arkansas, and Alabama are in the top 5.
Wow, that's not what I would have expected, but that Southern cooking must do it.
It
Is
must-
Texas like not in the count because they're already so high?
They went around. It's like with their scale in the bathroom floor, it's just spinning.
Texas is
Right.
12.
First to
Texas is 12.
Where did I hear
Wow.
that Michigan was number 1? They're 18.
Texas
It's
got
not
really
even
thinned
close.
out, folks. I was misled to
I
believe
don't
that
know if the
Texas was
South.
fat as
I don't
shit.
know if the South's going to be able to rise again. We're going to have diabetes.
At all.
It would be interesting
Rise
to
up
see
on their stump leg.
the
We
breakdown
gonna
by
perk up again. We might right now rise up, but we gonna perk up again.
What were you saying?
It
Ab?
would be interesting to see the breakdown by city because Tom might still be right as far as cities
He's
go.
probably right on
That's what I'm
cities.
saying. Those
Yeah.
3 cities, fattest cities in the U.S. Check them out.
He says while he stuffs his mouth.
Yeah, well, where he's at is not the fattest.
I
in
worked
the
hard
US.
for
He's
this.
gotta,
Okay, it's
you
my
know,
cheat day.
He's got to bring up the average so he can compete with, Fort. I almost said Fort Wayne.
Wayne's not a
Fort
state.
Worth. Fort Worth. Yeah,
Oh.
Texas.
You know,
This
I'm
dude
eating
is
because my
ugly.
wife made this really great dip, and I'm not about to snub it because I'm doing something different. I'm gonna eat
So,
Yeah.
talking about being overweight over there, Tom, does anybody have it's New Year's Eve. Do we have New Year's resolutions, anything like that? Does people still do that thing? Let us know in the chat, by the way. I want to see your best New Year's resolutions. We'll pull them up on screen. But
Yeah, New Year's resolutions are gay.
so put them on screen. So
Yeah,
put it in
tell
the
us
chat,
more
and then we
about
will
that,
call
Frank.
you. We will call you gay
I feel
actively
gay.
for like 5 minutes.
I think a good rule of thumb is if you want to make a New Year's resolution, if you're sitting in November thinking, oh man, I should resolve to blank in January, just start in November. And I think that's what I've done with lifting weights. So my New Year's resolution is to continue lifting weights through the new year.
I feel like people attach so much to you know what? If I start clean on January 1st, then I'll have every reason to totally do this
Yeah.
thing. And then February rolls around, they're like, did I?
Nah.
I feel like the problem with New Year's resolutions is if you miss a day, you went, oh, whole year's screwed, and then you stop. So I actually think they're kind of psychologically worse than just doing something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's just my opinion on it. I don't think I've ever completed a New Year's resolution. So maybe it's just I'm weak-willed. I don't know.
What is the saying over on Facebook that they always put out here? What, new year, new me?
Yeah.
New year, new you.
I looked at a list I wrote from last year of things I intended to accomplish, or they weren't
Wow, you
quite
actually wrote it
Oh,
down.
that's depressing. Don't do that.
I read
That's so
through it,
depressing when you don't see any of them checked off.
and like half of them I had done, and a couple of them I had completed far beyond imagining. For
Like
example,
celebrate Joe Biden's demise. You're like, "Oh,
Yeah, darn it.
put that one in for next year.
I didn't get pregnant this year. Oops. Oh well.
We're all working on this one, Harry. Be less
Be
white.
less white. We're all trying to be less white. But some things like figure out podcasting and stuff like that really did take off in the last quarter of the year, and I'm really thankful for it. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been working really hard not to be white. As you guys can see, it's been really working. So
Frank's the
Yeah.
I
only
started
successful one.
off the year as white as PJ, and
Congratulations.
here toward the end, I am now more dark skinned.
That's what you get when your governor keeps the beaches open.
I just took this like generationally, and I just married a Mexican woman, so that way my kids will be less white.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that's how I'm doing my part. So
Good. Hey, I think we should all just take a moment to really give Hunter Biden his due. Good job,
Yeah.
Hunter's going to promise to smoke less Parmesan. Not smoke it, but just less.
Yeah.
See, hey,
That's
baby
a
steps.
manageable. That's a manageable goal. Like baby
Yep.
steps.
Have you
You know,
ever
I'll
watched
tell
that
ya.
movie with Bill Murray where he is what about Bob?
Yeah.
yeah, it's a
And
good
the
one.
psychiatrist, Richard Dreyfuss is the psychiatrist, and he writes a book called Baby Steps.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
I
didn't
haven't
see
seen
that.
that movie in so long. I will say this though, tip to Hunter Biden in chat here: if you want to wean yourself off the Parmesan, you might want to just cut it with a little bit of crack. That'll help get you away from
Yeah.
the Parmesan.
I second that recommendation.
It's a weaning process. You can't go cold turkey on the Parmesan.
Yeah.
Well, in all
You can't have
seriousness,
cold Parmesan.
for this year of 22, I decided last year on my birthday that I would give up drinking the booze. And that
Ooh.
worked out pretty well this year. So, I mean, the resolutions are gay, but you have to start them like a good 10 days before the new year to really get a
Yeah.
running start. Like you said, Abby, like if you want to do
Yeah.
something, you just decide you're going to commit that day. And then you go, I'm the whole year plus a week and a half.
I tried.
So
I tried
true,
to make
Tom.
Tom break that yesterday, but it was root beer for Tom.
Root
so-
beer at the Perrin. It was good. Yummy. And honestly, never slept better. Nope, I
Yeah.
slept terrible last night.
Went to a brewery and just have root beer. That's awesome, Tom.
Yep. It was caffeinated. Did you know that root beer can have caffeine after all? I didn't think it did, but it does.
Oh.
But it do.
But
It do be
do.
like that. It do be like that.
Yeah, it definitely is caffeinated. I remember my days of stocking groceries in the store and root beer being in the caffeinated area.
Hey,
Ah,
we should remind
that's a good
everyone
one.
right now who has a Twitter or who has a Gab or who has a Getter or who has a Truth Social or any other account, Facebook, etc. Go take this link or the Rumble link or the Odyssey link, however you're watching this, go share it right now. Do it.
Do it right now.
I'm not even saying please, just do it.
Please. I'll say please because I'm nice. That's why they have a woman on the stream.
Is that why? I've been asking. I've been sending that request. Like, do we have an excuse for
Why?
this?
It's just to keep our ESG score from being an absolute 0, and I think it's still only a 2.
Yeah, but there's going to come a day where they audit this and they're going to find out I'm not black.
Yeah,
Darn
it's
it.
gonna be a 1.
We still have Frank though.
Yeah, I can eat into some of that. Also gay, right? So gay and in dark.
Yeah. And we've
Feel
established
gay.
that my husband's gay. PJ's wife is Mexican.
Yeah,
free-
we're just bringing
Wait,
a bunch
gross,
of diversity
really?
over here. I
No.
know.
the diversity
Yeah,
stream.
Oh gosh, we have a new name in 23.
The diversity stream.
The diversity.
Yeah, that's the 2023.
Watch it
New
become
Year's
promoted by
resolution.
YouTube immediately. They just start promoting our show because it says diversity
Diversity.
stream on it.
That's my other New Year's resolution is to have less facial hair.
Yeah,
Well,
get on that.
a New Year's resolution that was made by Nancy Pelosi was to go ahead and give the House staffers a raise and get them up to $212,000 a year.
They need that though, don't they?
Yeah.
At least
Yeah,
somebody's getting something out of inflation.
Oh man.
Does this
Yeah.
not show you guys where the power really lies, though? If you think about it, they're making, I think at this point, $40,000 more a year than Congress. The staffers are. Isn't it 176,000 for? Am I getting these numbers right?
Well, I
No, I
thought
think you're right.
Yeah.
It's gone up like 50 grand almost, and it's because of
for
inflation.
the staffers, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. The staffers are now
Right.
making more, or they probably were before, but they're making like significantly more.
Mm-hmm.
Than the Congress people.
Yes, than the Congress.
Well,
people
think
by
about
like
this,
40
like-
or 50,000.
Feinstein, I know she's a senator, but imagine her staff runs her office. So they are going to be paid like her or more because how
Sure.
else do you keep them shut up?
Well,
Someone
is
that's
it-
going to run Pelosi's office and wrote, I mean, it said from the desk of Nancy Pelosi, she wrote that very nice letter the other day about the subpoena. It turns out they're going to drop it, but it did not come from her hand. Like someone in her office wrote that. That's a staffer who's going to make more than 200K.
Well, also, is this kind of like the restaurant industry? If you think about it, like the chef makes like full wages, and then the waitresses, they make like $3 an hour, but they get, buy-offs from, oil companies and
Like
Pfizer and lobbyists. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's
how
just
I
their
look at it.
base pay.
That's just the base pay.
Before the
What they
bribes.
really, all the money comes in from the bribes and
For
and
the
all that
tips.
stuff. Yeah.
Before George Soros sends the slush fund.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Here's another New Year's resolution. I resolve not to die of suddenly.
Yeah, I've heard that's been in the news a lot lately. They've been linking it to sweeteners and also climate change lately.
Video games. I'm never going to play a video game again because I might die suddenly.
But that's the question I'm having is they trying to change it to dying of video games. They're dying of suddenly. Like that's how all of the news articles are died suddenly. It's like, well, what is that? What is suddenly?
Because if they were dying slowly, they'd be saved. It was because they were sudden. They couldn't be just slipped away.
Yeah, they slipped away. They couldn't be given another booster to keep them going. That's why they was suddenly, not slowly, as Tom says. If they were slowly, they'd give it another booster and keep them going.
Speed up that process a little bit.
Let me ask you guys, because they have introduced this concept of sudden adult death syndrome.
SADS.
And SADS. And we watched it happen in real time, them invent this thing, which now makes me question SIDS.
Well, they know that was vaccine related. They just admitted this.
I feel like that's exactly what they admitted.
SIDS, that's the baby one, right?
Yeah.
No, it's not that they did it by accidentally admit it. Like they literally said, we've discovered an enzyme that causes SIDS, and that enzyme is only introduced into the body by this vaccine.
Right.
So they're like, oh, whoops.
Well,
so the routine number of vaccines, like it's like 13 or something before you're supposed to hit 5 years old. They give you 13 different shots of shit now. You wonder, is any of that stuff safe? Is it not just better to eat backyard eggs and trade for a rasher of bacon at the farmer's market?
Yeah, it's crazy because I'm one of those people that had my mind changed on this, where I used to be like, okay, well, like if you take a dead virus and you introduce it to the body, they learn how to fight it off. That makes sense to me. And it was just the COVID thing that was worrying me. And now, as Abby pointed out, with SADS and SIDS and more stuff coming out, and then you're looking at the scientific community and how corrupt it is. It's like, oh, maybe it's all crap.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even if you look at Western Europe, vaccination rates are way lower than what here in the United States is.
Man, do they have the same SIDS problem that we do? I don't think
know.
they do.
Yeah, I don't know.
Look at Haiti is a perfect example. They did not have any of the vaccinations, and they also had like write-up after write-up last year saying Haiti has the lowest death rate for COVID out of any country by far, which is odd and perplexing experts because they don't have any vaccinations. And it's like, well, anyone with an IQ above room temp is going to see that and go, well, I know why.
Well, obviously Haitians are eating a nice, healthy, balanced diet.
Yeah.
And getting,
they're right on the equator. Yeah, they have a lot of vitamin D.
Yep. So
they're known for having money and great
healthy
infrastructure
lifestyle
and medicine. Yeah.
You know what they're not eating though is super high processed crap. I mean, they're eating like dirt,
Fair.
but they're not eating.
Say, well, they're not eating. It was just, you could end the sentence there, but yeah, I get what you're.
You know what they're not eating?
Well, they're a little bit above the equator, though. I mean, I think it's more along the lines of the Tropic of Capricorn.
Yeah, whatever. You know what I was getting at. They're equatorial.
Yeah.
in nature.
Dark humor is like food. Not everyone gets it.
I'm glad she said humor.
I thought I was gonna go somewhere else too, but that was good. I liked it.
That's funny.
Speaking of black people, can we do something else?
Oh. Well, what's some of the
having too
biggest
much
stories you
fun
guys
being
remember
over
this year? One of the biggest one was, of course, Elon taking control of Twitter.
Yeah, that's multiple stories too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been a year's worth of stories like that in and of itself, starting back in what was it, March with, I mean, this is where I see the story starting is back in March with, hey, Richard Levine, Man of the Year. All of a sudden Babylon Bee is taken off of Twitter. And that's when the memes or the tweets are going like, hey, Elon, haha, why don't you just buy Twitter, and bring back the Babylon Bee since you were just on their podcast. And it was a joke. And it's turned into a year's worth of stories. And like how many, what are we up to 8 Twitter file drops at this point?
Yeah, that Tumblr post is, whoever made that is going to be kicking themselves in the future for having taunted. And it went viral. It was like, hey, Elon, if you don't like it, buy your own Twitter. And then he was like, well, he like had a little like, emoji, and he tweeted it, and that kicked it.
Yeah. And he even spent, what was it, like $150 million extra just to make the price tag say like $4.20 per share.
69, 420, 69. I mean, he's not silly. Or it ended up being like 54.20, 69 because he wanted it to be $4.20, 69. So it's $54.20 a share, something like that.
That's a resolution I could get behind
Mhm.
right there, Brian.
Yeah.
Thank
Amen,
you.
Brian Knapp.
Thank you, Brian. That
Good man.
Yeah, and don't forget, guys, we will do a last call night. It might be pushed back a little bit. We'll see, because we did start a little late.
we have
Because
some
again, being
technical
on time is
difficulties.
racism.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make sure that we were starting, as Abby had pointed out, we wanted to get a running start before the new year. We didn't just want to start being less white
So
on January
true.
1st. We decided to start being less white on December 31st. So a little late, but we will get to your super chats at the end of the show, guys. So thank you so much.
Yeah, we were only late because we were trying to explain to Frank what the ball dropping was.
He's like, well, my son just hit puberty. No, going a different direction with that.
PJ always takes it too far.
That is my job here, I believe. Yeah.
It's in his contract.
So who's got the first story they want to look at? Or do we not
Well,
have
I
one
thought we were
pulled up?
talking about stories that we wanted to look back on through 2022.
That's what I'm
a little
saying.
bit.
Yeah.
Well, obviously,
Go ahead.
we overturned Roe versus Wade this year. Like,
That was a huge story.
I was gonna say I don't remember that. That seemed like just one of those small.
Now,
little-
remind me again, what was the premise of Roe v. Wade and how was it overturned, Abby? For the folks at home.
Roe v. Wade took the decision about abortion up to the Fed. So it had been the decision of the states whether or not they wanted to allow abortions and to what degree. And Roe v. Wade took it up to the Fed, saying, you know, they're all allowed. And what Dobbs did when it overturned Roe was just kick it back to the states. So it didn't outlaw abortion. It just let the states decide what they wanted to do.
I
And
thought
it did,
Roe-
in some of those states, it automatically reenacted a lot of the abortion laws that were already on the
Yes.
books.
Yes.
So,
it did.
Abby, what I'm hearing from you is that abortion is now outlawed and the only place you can get one is in space.
Correct. That is what I said.
Yeah, that is what.
Or
the
dangerous back
Californians-
alley abortions that are destined to kill.
Only coat hangers for the
Only-
rest of time.
Yeah,
Piping hot, glowing
if-
red.
if you were
They
like
used-
Nancy Pelosi, you bought a lot of stock in the coat hanger industry and
Well,
made a couple million.
In your high school sex ed class, they used to hand out condoms. Now it's just coat hangers.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
because
they just went the next step.
Honestly, do you think that they're handing those things out anymore, considering like they're probably the least concerned with consensual straight sex?
Yeah, no, they're handing out butt plugs.
Well, that's
now,
what I'm
so.
saying. That's why
They're basically just hanging out in the girls' room watching for guys in skirts.
yeah. Yeah.
Dental dam, dental dam.
All right. Where were you when Roe was overturned?
That's a good question.
Don't ask which clinic. No, I'm kidding.
Don't tell.
I had rushing.
I was
He
at the
rushing
clinic
to
getting
get
my
it
last
done.
one in.
Yeah. I woke up that morning. It was one of my days off, and I remember I woke up to my wife telling me the news, and it was weird because like I saw it coming for a long time, and yet it was still extremely emotional for me because like the
Yeah.
abortion thing has always been an issue that's been close to my heart for a really long time, and I feel like it was really like not that it needed to be driven home, but it was driven home for me personally with having a close person with a miscarriage. I just saw the child 9 months, a week before the child was supposed to be born. And it just really hit me hard. So I feel like that all of that kind of came out. And me and my wife, I've never like been so overjoyed at something that I didn't expect to be overjoyed. But I was like, I don't know. It was crazy. We celebrated. It was a good day.
Yeah.
Didn't it kind of feel like there was like a static in the air? Like I felt like I didn't, and maybe that's just me being silly and superstitious, but I felt like we heard that there was the leak of, hey, maybe they might have this. And we kind of all debated whether or not that leak meant they were going to actually overturn it, or if the leak was designed to enforce them to, okay, I guess we have to change our opinion.
Well, the leak
and
was
give them an out.
The leak
to-
was definitely designed to pressure people like Kavanaugh, which we saw with them
Yeah.
basically attempting to assassinate him.
Right. But I guess what I was trying to say was well, no, you're right. But in addition to that, I felt like I didn't expect them to go through with it. So when we heard
Right.
that they did overturn it, it was like, well, we heard they might. I didn't kind of had my doubts. Then they really did. So it was like, oh, it was like an extra thank the Lord. Like another prayer was answered in that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm not sure if I can even fully remember what my thought process was at the time going back and forth as far as like, I was pretty sure it was going to get overturned. And then the leak and the threats, it did make me kind of question. And I feel like I kind of maybe at some point had just kind of given up on like, okay, well, I guess I got a little excited early and it's not going to happen. So maybe that was the extra emotional because it did. And it came through like suddenly, didn't it?
Yeah, I have been watching
Roe v.
Like
Wade
that.
died suddenly.
Died of suddenly. Yeah.
every day it could possibly have dropped. I was like actively refreshing SCOTUS blog on Twitter, waiting for the drop. And I remember thinking that it was done for the day and having given up on that day. And then all of a sudden it hit. And I was like, what? And we knew it was coming, but we didn't know it was coming. We kept thinking, oh, maybe something will happen to make this good thing we're hoping for and not. And we're so used to losing. And so to win like that, especially something that I've been hoping for my entire life. I mean, my entire life.
We've also got to take these wins because we've been getting kicked like while we're down since 2020, but it goes back before that. But like, I feel like the last 2 years have especially felt really dark for people that feel like us and have the same values as us. So,
well, and some of that darkness comes from Abby's parents showing her what an abortion was on the day one, and since her birth, knowing what that was and being against it. I would be adamant against it too. If you're saying since day one,
my mom just told me to look in a mirror, and she's like, "That's what."
Oh.
Also on day one.
On day one.
Just holding you up. Oh no, I just knocked the chips over.
I had my old audio only podcast, Chatting with Abby, which was my year-long kind of practice run for getting into this type of podcasting.
Wait, you had practice and this is what you got?
It's this bad. Yeah, it was worse before. But that day I called my mom crying, and then a couple hours later I had a podcast scheduled with Rob from North Arrow, and it was so perfect that we were able to get on and talk about because we know that North Arrow Coffee is all about supporting pro-life causes. They give 50% of their proceeds to pro-life causes, so that was really special.
Yeah, absolutely. Take it a little dark, unless you guys want a little less dark turn. If you guys want to move on, I saw somebody say something about Paul Pelosi really liking hammers, which might be my favorite story of 2022 in a less serious sense. Like it's the never ending meme machine of like the funniest. I don't know. I think it's the funniest story of 2022.
Well, I loved how they tried to paint it as it was a MAGA intruder that came in looking to assassinate Nancy Pelosi. And then as more information was coming out, they're like, oh, we need to shift the focus on this and quit talking about it.
It could be further from the truth of being a MAGA conspiratorial, Trump lover, guy who thinks that Biden's eating people and stuff. Like they tried to make it sound like.
It was less believable than Jussie Smollett, by the way. Like, and that was what was so funny is the left went hardcore for like 12 hours, and then they started going like, "Oh crap! Did we just shoot ourselves in the foot by like?"
Then the NBC reporter who was trying to factually report on it, they like pulled him off the air. They're like, "Yeah, we haven't seen him since."
Right.
Oh man, all the Paul Pelosi got hammered jokes are just my favorite.
I think the Pelosi family is kind of like Elon again, where we've had like this stream of connected stories throughout the year where it started off with Paul Pelosi getting arrested for drunk driving, and then Paul Pelosi getting arrested for drunk raping, or not arrested, but getting in the news for drunk orgies with hammers.
Drunk
and then
hammering.
we have Nancy Pelosi not being the Speaker of the House anymore. So it's
kind of. Sorry, I didn't mean to
ahead.
interrupt you. On Rumble, we had a super chat come in talking about no studies for causation, but total miscarriages and side effects for neonatal stuff and prenatal stuff spiking after the vaccine, because we're talking about whether or not we trust vaccines, if it's COVID or just all of them, or one of them or none of them. Kind of coinciding with Roe v. Wade being overturned. It's like a lot of people are seeing the same things at the same time in relation to the sanctity of life, which might be like a bigger story by itself.
Yeah, this was
That
also
or Paul
a year,
Pelosi's DUI.
I mean, this was a year too where it was like, it's not even like something to be proud of, but we were all vindicated on every single COVID related conspiracy theory. In this
100%, 110%. There were some that we didn't even make up yet, and they were right.
Right. I like legitimately being honest, I can't think of one conspiracy theory, quote unquote, that we were wrong about with the COVID stuff, whether it being coming from a lab, they were going to try to push vaccine passports, that it was going to cause infertility, that it was going to cause died suddenly.
Well, in particular to this year, like in 2020, I had probably one or two ideas that were not correct. I'm just going to say, like in 2020, maybe 2021, sure. But 2022, if we're talking about just this past year, I think we were 100%. We were batting 1,000.
Right. I feel like after the first year where we kind of figured out what the conspiracy was, so all the conspiracies, I should say, maybe not all of them from 2020, but all of them from 2021, they definitely were all proven true in 2022. It was interesting.
Yeah, 2022 also a big story was, of course, the January 6th Commission.
Not that one. Don't do that.
That's hardly news. Oh, I wanted to tell you too. We were asked to save our fireworks, not tonight, but for the 6th, because we're supposed to do our 2-year anniversary of January 6th with fireworks.
Yeah.
Show of solidarity.
So when is January 6th this year? Is it the 5th?
No, it's the 6th.
I can't wait for January 6th. My January 6th decorations have been up since Halloween.
Yeah. Did you guys get your bull moose helmet, and the war paint?
Yeah.
I just take a break
if you look at the corner, I have a Capitol building behind me.
Oh, you were planning something. Shoot. I hope it's not Legos.
I don't want you guys to know what kind of Legos Tom has at his house.
Yeah, we saw. Yeah, he's planning some stuff.
I'm telling my bosses.
Yeah, watch out, Chris Pratt.
You're like, what is that Lego IED set? What?
He's got the Statue of Liberty.
Lego smoke grenade. What the hell? What in God's green earth? Hey, while I have your attention, it's 8:00. Shut up, PJ. I'm It's 8:00. It's the top of the hour, so you might as well hit the like button on whatever stream platform you're watching, whether it's Odyssey or Rumble or YouTube, and then make sure that you have liked it and then share a link to it. Help a friend find it this evening as you celebrate the holiday. Because really, what else are you doing? If you're not out, then you're in, and if you're in, what the hell are you doing? Watch this.
Yeah, exactly. You have no life. You only have us.
Right. I like it.
Yep, that's what I was saying. Back to you.
That's hilarious.
PJ's like moving my
there might be
alcohol, so I don't
there
have
could be a
anymore.
carbon monoxide leak in my house right now.
Abby,
in the
you've had
basement,
enough
just
of
feeling
that.
Yeah, I'm like, Abby, just take this away for a minute. All right. What other stories do you guys think, though?
Well,
Abby driving home tonight? No, I'm kidding.
I hope not. What were you saying, Frank?
I have this one story. It was a video that was out there in that was pretty hilarious. Let me pull it up. Nope, wrong one.
I believe in you.
There we go. Was this one? You guys remember this?
Oh my gosh. I'm not a cat. I just want to tell you I'm not a cat.
We have to appreciate this video. Let's take a listen.
Is it fake though? Do we know if it's fake?
Filter turned on in the video settings. You might want to take
we're trying to. Can you hear me, Judge?
I can hear you. I think it's a filter.
It is, and I don't know how to remove it. I've got my assistant here. She's trying to, but I'm prepared to go forward with it. I'm here live. I'm not a cat.
I can see that.
I'm not a cat. Well, I thought for sure he was an attorney that was also a cat. So thank you for correcting that.
Cat Turdy. Yeah, I like it. Be a new Marvel comic. Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe you can
Don't
team
give
up
them
with
an idea.
Daredevil. Yeah.
They'll make it sexualized within a year.
Well, it'll be a tranny cat if Disney takes it at this
It'll
point.
be some kind of play on pussy something.
Yeah.
The drag queen cat. That's
gross.
something that was a big story this year is the progression and the militant left wing with the drag queens and of course the trannies as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look at and this is the one thing that gets me is like one of the biggest stories of the year came straight out of Texas. And it was, hey, by the way, the police are going to arrest you if you're protesting people doing something illegal, which is taking children into a strip club. And it doesn't matter. I mean, it's it's bad enough that it's a strip club, but it's a tranny strip club. But either way, it's illegal. And let's just arrest and escort everyone away that wants to protest people doing something illegal in front of police. Yeah, it was so bad this year.
Why do we have a world where there's such a thing as a tranny strip club?
Because Sodom and Gomorrah is
I know it's a rhetorical
again.
question, but yeah, I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
There is a God. I know there is. So get active. Start getting a little bit Old Testament.
It does make you question, though. How bad was Sodom and Gomorrah?
Oh, dude, it was so bad.
Like, if it was worse than this, how bad was it?
Paris in 1913 and then 1917, like through that 4-year block, Paris was like openly selling sex slave children on the streets, and it was considered normal.
Yeah,
that was
not normal, but like they were like, oh, buy your 12-year-old girl. Oh, she has not had her bleed yet. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah, I'm telling you.
He's not wrong. That actually did happen. Yeah.
They would like sell little girls at a higher premium if they had not had their period yet.
Wasn't that where Moulin Rouge, the movie, took place? Was that time period?
Well, don't name my top 5 favorite movies, but no, I don't even know what you're saying.
Frank, tell us more of your favorite movies. I'm curious.
Yeah, I like
now.
Chicago though.
Yeah.
I thought that was just a band.
Jeez, Pete.
PJ's got to talk about this one
my
right
gosh.
here.
Yeah, don't vax me. One of my favorite stories of the year was Kanye West tweeting out the Raelian logo, because a month before that I did this whole unhinged episode about Raelians, and I didn't actually expect that stuff to start coming true, but it's been like one of those things where I have fully become the meme. Do we have the meme somewhere? I gotta find the meme. Raelians. Yeah. It's been fun. It was a throwaway episode, and it turned into my whole personality of the last quarter of 2022.
I had COVID, and he was like, "Don't worry, I got this. I'm just gonna do this random UFO sex call." And then a month later, it's like blowing up all over the news.
I had to have called. Well, I must have called you at like 1 a.m, sounding
It's
fully
crazy.
unhinged about this whole thing.
Really?
If you don't know that, that's like not even our most popular episode, but I feel like everybody should watch it at this point because
It's a classic.
hilarious. It's classic.
I refuse to now just because
Yeah.
I
It's
just saw
classic.
all the shorts and I've been mesmerized. I was sitting there. I told you like last 2 weeks. I was sitting there just going, "Why am I watching PJ over and over?" Because he's looping.
I had to go to a family function today, and I had family members coming up to me going, "So, I was on Instagram today, and I'm like, why is this weird guy talking about conspiracy theories showing up in my reels?" And then I realized that's PJ. It's like
Weird
it was
guy.
a little awkward. Yeah, it was a little awkward because like I don't think most of my family knew about my online
Awkward.
stuff for a long time. So it's like now everybody's coming up to me like, "So you talk about alien sex cults on the internet, PJ?" That's
Yeah.
You're like
interesting."
just weekly, you know.
Yeah, just every Wednesday.
What PJ's trying to say is he's out of the closet now.
Out of the conspiracy closet.
Out of the closet.
gay. That's right.
Does Abby have the board tonight? Is that what's happened? She has the
No,
little.
I've
No,
got it over
PJ
here.
just cell phoned.
We're trying to like share all of the gear and there's beer everywhere. This is a disaster waiting to happen.
It's so true.
You're telling me I've already
Open
knocked
bottles
the.
of beer and equipment. You guys should. I mean, here, let's just it's just empty beer.
It's
cans.
mayhem everywhere. Oh my
Yeah, it
gosh!
is.
Wow,
It
there's
is.
like 3 things on your whole desk.
We've been recording or streaming something every night this week because we're
It's
just
true.
so excited to be in the same room.
Yeah, it's been fun.
So that was awkward.
Awkward.
The family thing, the family Christmas,
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
awkward. It was a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
man.
you're not doing politics anymore. You're doing conspiracy theories, huh?
You're like, well, they're the same. So
Yeah, they're the same thing at this point. So
Tell us more about this Kanye and Raelians cult.
you don't want me to get full unhinged.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
hey, before
Face-
before you get there, we have a drink. You have to take a drink. Late, but Ree from Pitbull Doorbell says, "Have a drink on me." So thank you, Pitbull
Thank
Doorbell.
you.
thank you.
That's the same dog that PJ has. Pitbull
Yeah.
doorbell.
We were talking. It's a funny story about pit bulls. We were me and my son were driving. I'm teaching. him
That's
how to drive.
hilarious.
Yeah, I know. And there
I'm
was
sorry.
a
I
pit
hate when people do that, and then I do it. So I'm sorry.
there was a pit bull there, and he's like, "Hey, Dad, look, pit bulls are real smart." I said, "Yeah, they can locate babies and eat them in no time flat."
You know, Frank, I missed this episode of the Secret Telegram Let's Be Frank show that we so people probably don't know this, so I have to explain the joke. We all got treated to a driving lesson between Frank and his son because he pocket recorded himself and then it just sent to our Telegram channel. So I'm like, oh, Frank has something to say that he can't just type out. It must be important. And I'm listening and it's just driving lessons with Frank. And I was like, oh, cool.
Gosh, you know
Oh.
what? It's almost as if I have that saved somewhere. Hold on a second.
Oh
Oh
Best story of 2022.
Best
for
story.
sure.
no! Best story.
There's
driving
been other
lessons with
there's
me.
been other big ones. I feel like the Balenciaga.
He's like, slow down, break. That's exactly what you'd expect from a guy telling his kid how to drive.
It sounds exactly like a dad teaching his.
And then you
kids
hear a lot
to
of
drive.
radio, and I'm like, excuse me, but my dad was like, no music. You're learning how to drive.
no! Did your son get his lessons?
He has.
I don't
his,
have any
permit
children.
Right now. He.
Okay.
What?
Go ahead,
Thank
Frank.
you,
Go ahead,
Tom.
Frank.
I have. He has his permit. He won't be able to take his driving test until he turns 16. So
Okay.
that won't be for another 7 months or so, roughly.
Fun stuff.
So I get to be chauffeured around most of the time. As long as it's daytime, I get to be chauffeured around because they're not allowed to drive past 6 p.m. or when it gets dark
Yeah.
as a permit driver, which is weird because I was able to do that when I was a permit driver.
I just drove illegally when I was 12, so I mean, it's different strokes for different folks.
I didn't get my license till I was 18 because I'm a woman.
Yeah, that's still, I feel, like we're constantly talking about changing ages for like voting and things like that. The one that we're not talking about is driver's license age, and it needs to be 25 for women, I think would be fair. Yeah.
25. They're very generous, PJ.
All right, I looked for it. I can't find it, so I'm sorry. I just left you all hanging. We're not going to hear the recording. You'll just have to imagine in your mind's eye Frank talking to his kid at the dash.
Yeah.
So if you guys don't mind, I wanted to show you a thread of 5 least talked about stories in 2022 that need to be thought about, worried about in 2023.
Please.
So this is compiled by Morgan.
Do I have to worry?
No.
Okay.
Just
Wait,
worry
can
about
you
the rail.
zoom and enhance? Zoom and enhance. This is tiny.
Yeah, I got the Raelians to deal with.
I'll let PJ do that because I'm boom.
Oh, well, it's on the wrong screen. Shoot, now you just made me mess up.
I could tell it was
It's
a
my
huge mistake
fault.
over here.
Yeah, it's all good.
Jesus Lord.
There we go. All right.
I
So
love
story number 1 is that cartels made upwards of $13 billion this year from human smuggling operations. That's human trafficking, 26 times more dollars than they did in 2018, and it's only getting worse.
Definitely in the wrong business.
Yeah, that's yeah. Andrew
Frank,
Tate,
you had a chance. You could have been a contender.
yeah, Andrew Tate, smarter than the rest of us. He saw that this was on the up and got into it. So story number 2. So sorry, everybody. I know a lot of people don't think he's guilty.
Is there a correlation there between anything that's happened since 2020? I mean, I can't for the life of me figure out what's changed that has made it go 26 times more the amount of human trafficking that that thing that AOC
It's
won't
Trump's
stand up and
fault.
clap
It's
for.
Trump's fault, guys. It's Trump's fault.
Oh yeah, probably.
Because when Trump said we diminished human trafficking, AOC couldn't bother herself to stand up and clap, but she could pat herself on the back for being a female.
She was
Mhm.
crying at the fence. So
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
She did her part.
Yeah.
Speaking of border-related things, story number 2 is that fentanyl became the leading cause of death for Americans between 18 and 45, which is very sobering.
I can't figure out what the
Where-
link.
yeah.
I do a conspiracy podcast and I can't make the connection of what these stories have in common.
Yeah, where could the fentanyl be
We'll
coming
have to
from?
dig into this and get back to you.
probably all the
Speaking
recreational fentanyl.
Speaking of China, who's sending the fentanyl over our borders, they will also be building 1,500 nuclear warheads by 2030, 2 times more than the Pentagon's original estimates.
Well, the
So-
Pentagon didn't know they had a hypersonic missile either.
Yeah, it seems like we've been underestimating China for a while, or
Well, Abby,
Allowing
we've been
it,
busy.
permitting it.
We've been busy trying to trans the military. So I mean, that's
Obviously.
that's a lot of work.
we can't even think about going and taking care of China until we have at least one tranny in every unit in the army.
so true, so
Yeah.
true.
And actually, isn't it offensive to refer to it as a unit now? It's supposed to be like a grouping.
Is it like a question mark now? It's not a
It's
unit.
sexual.
You're
A
not
unit
really
has
sure
a
what it
sexual
is.
connotation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're also
Because you're really not sure what's down there. You can't call it a
Yeah.
unit. You just
They're
Yeah,
gotta
like
call it-
the bald guy who looks like Matt Damon. He didn't necessarily have a unit. He was offended by that. He's a
They-
eunuch.
While we're on this, I have a friend who's a captain in the army.
I thought you were going to say you have a friend who's a eunuch.
Does he get a like a camo dress now? Is that the new issue?
Well, he doesn't like to talk about that
Oh,
part,
okay.
but the thing
The
that he
camo
has
kini.
told me is
Camo
that he
kini.
has a trans woman, so a biological man in his unit. And one of the things that he's responsible for is making sure everybody gets drug tested. But the rules for drug testing is that there has to be somebody of the same gender in the room while they pee in the cup. And so this
Yeah,
puts
weenie
my
watchers
friend,
is what we used to call them.
this puts my
Yeah.
friend in a horrific situation where he has to, per the rules, put a woman in a room where a biological man is peeing into a cup, and instead he has just removed the trans person from the drug test list altogether. So that person,
But it's a lady penis that she's peeing through, right? So it's fine.
Yeah,
Right.
so it's totally fine.
So he has to commit
Our military is so
real-
foobarred.
So he has to commit real sexual assault on one of his female soldiers in order to not commit fake sexual assault
Yep.
on
Or
a
misconduct.
man.
Let's say
I'm
misconduct.
sorry, I couldn't think of the word. Not assault.
Because
I was-
there's no
yeah,
penetration.
sorry.
So
I didn't.
that we know
Unless there
of.
Assault
is.
wasn't the right word.
I mean,
but
he
yeah.
has to put them in a room together.
It's still a crime, is my
7
point.
minutes
Yeah.
in heaven. Is that
Or
what you're saying?
if you were in any other job and you forced a female employee to go look at another, look at a man's
penis.
dick,
Yeah.
that's a crime.
Yep.
Is my point.
Yep.
In
But
any
in the military, it's
sane
cool,
world,
though.
that's a crime.
That's cool.
Except
though.
now it's not.
Yeah. And they're also discontinuing the term sir and ma'am now too because they're not inclusive.
Yeah.
Which
I
is
couldn't
Zer,
have
yes,
got out.
Zer.
I could not have gotten out at a better time. I saw the writing on the wall and I got out in 2020, January of 2020, right before they forced the vaccine and the masking and all of this crap. And I look back, I'm like, I would not recognize what I left. And
You guys hear that, everyone at home? PJ is proud to be out this year.
Of the closet.
feel gay.
Speaking of being out,
if I wanted to be out, being in the military would be the place to be.
That was just
So
teed right
true.
up. It was easy
Yeah.
to
So
just
true.
slap that one.
It was.
fourth story that's been passed over. Yeah, it's true, but he's in an impossible situation, and that's what he chose to do. So
I would take that same thing, even if it
Yeah.
got you a
yeah, and that's why I haven't
Reprimand.
shared his name because I don't want to get him in trouble. So
right.
Oh,
story
yeah,
number-
you jive turkey. Would you trying to narc on people?
yeah. That's Frank's brother, isn't it?
It
The
is.
jive turkey. You're the
Jeez, oh,
narc.
Pete.
His brother's the jive turkey. I can't believe you called him a JT.
He called
Okay.
him a CSer.
All right. Story number 4 is the
Six.
U.S. national debt. Yeah, PJ served for 6 years. That's how gay he is.
Yep.
The US,
feel gay.
the U.S. national debt surpassed $30 trillion this year after heightened federal spending during the pandemic, which, like, holy
Only
crap.
30 trillion. That's good. Yeah. And
And-
I'm glad we're giving raises to staffers.
Coming in at number 5 is North Korea tested more missiles in 2022 than any year on record since 1995, which is the year I was born. North Korea has carried out more than 270 missile tests. More than a quarter have been this year.
Well, that's just China with a puppet on its hand.
I'm sure
Right.
everything's fine, you guys.
That's why I continue to maintain this stance until the regime falls in on itself in North Korea, which is that China pretends that North Korea is autonomous and that when the world faces a threat from the crazy Kim Jong-un and that regime that just doesn't have anyone propping it up but still stands somehow, I'm pretty sure what happens is they say, like they put the North Korean puppet on, they go, oh, we're going to blow up the world. And then they go, I'm China, I can save this. And so they go, don't worry, USA, we'll deal with them. And that's what happens every single time we allow China to facilitate our problem with North Korea. And you almost wonder if that's just China's way of getting around threatening the world themselves.
Of course
They do
it
it through North Korea.
Yeah.
And speaking of China doing things, I'm so sorry to hear this, Gold, but that's unfortunately the story that so many people share with you. And I think what a lot of people don't recognize is that China is actively sending fentanyl across our borders to do that to us. We are so worried about Russia. And I'm not saying that Russia's good or that, I'm not saying anything about that, but we're actively ignoring the threat of China.
Well, look what Russia didn't do and what North Korea didn't do during the 4 years of the Trump presidency. It speaks for itself. Also, this is why I stand for the George Floyd statues being up. Is just a F you to China for the fentanyl death, fentanyl that killed George Floyd.
Never forget. Never forget.
I'm sorry. that was a
It
bad
is
joke.
sad. And if we make light of it, if we make jokes about it, you have to understand it's because we may know people that have the same problem.
Right.
And we may know the severity of it is we still have to mock it to make light of it and to get people to understand it and hear it and still, not wallow in it.
Right.
This is a really good point, Ocean, that China is getting its revenge for the opium wars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really concerned about what they're going to do then in retaliation for the rape of Nanking.
Yikes.
I
No
don't
one?
wanna
Okay,
know.
that's not funny. All right, never mind.
It is.
I just didn't have a follow up to it. Yeah.
Just a chuckle and we move on.
It was a chuckle. And
Jesus Christ.
This is my husband, in case anyone was wondering.
Not for sale.
We should send. Wait, we should just send Abby's BFF CIA agent Dennis Rodman into North Korea to smooth things over with Kim. Hey, talking about your BFFs, we have a huge story this year. I think Tom has it about Abby's Fed buddies and the January 6th stuff that we kind of
Yeah,
skipped
my good
over
friend
there.
Ray.
Yeah, what's Ray up to these days?
Let me grab that here. Let me show
Apparently.
you.
Doesn't he live in like a double wide in
Apparently.
Arizona?
No, he sold his farm, I thought, for like a way more than it was ever supposed to be worth. And that was his way of being bought off, was what I was understanding. So this is from InfoWars. It says Ray Epps has confessed to the January 6th committee that he had orchestrated the attack on the Capitol, that he had led it, that he had told people to go in. He says, I also orchestrated it. I was in front with a few others. This is the exact same time in the video that I just played. He says, help us understand this text. What do you mean by orchestrate? He says, I just meant that I got, and you have to understand our relationship, uncle, nephew, we hunt together. He orchestrated it. He and his nephew sent people in. They're laughing.
I feel like, it's been really hard to be a conspiracy theorist this year, because it's like every time I try to bring up a conspiracy theory, they're like, oh, no, that's just real. Look, it's just right there.
Yeah.
Like, the Ray Epps thing, or, the DHS buying up fake Twitter bots and using those to push misinformation, and them shadow banning and all. Sorry, it's not shadow banning. What is it, Frank?
Visibility filters.
Visibility filtering. So I was wrong on that one. I'm still a conspiracy theorist for believing in shadow banning. I apologize.
They're not effing with you. They're VFing with you.
Right. Yeah. What are your thoughts on this one, though, guys? I mean, it's like it was all on video. Like, that's what's so infuriating about some of this. It's like, yeah, we know. You know what I mean? It's like it's good that it's out there, but it's like it's also like, yeah, we literally watched him, and then everybody called us crazy this whole time.
It's such an embarrassment to me as an FBI agent that Ray would come out and say all this stuff. It's obviously true.
That was my thought, was like, I thought you guys swore an oath within the oath.
Yeah, it's really gross.
He's supposed to keep his dirty trap shut.
I heard he's a little bit suicidal.
Jeez, oh, Pete's. What are you now, Ben Shapiro, telling people when they're going to die? You guys see that? Ben Shapiro was like, wow, I would not want to be Kanye West right now. A lot of people die for saying these crazy things about Jews. And I'm like, whoa, you shouldn't be saying that, because if Kanye does turn up dead, Ben Shapiro's my number one go-to, as he's probably the Jew that done it.
Yeah, that was a poorly.
I thought it was well said, so thank you. No, wait, I'm just kidding. Mr. DJ's on Rumble says maybe something about the open border there's no problem with, ? Easy to make undocumented people vanish, which was kind of the other thing I was going to talk about. Hunter Biden, sex slavery with the Russian chick, maybe one problem. Joe Biden sniffing all these kids, and now we hear tens of thousands of children who have been across the border. We brought them in. CPB brought them in. We have record of the number of kids, though we don't know who they are. And then we sent them on to Democrat donors. And now we're hearing, turns out the Department of Health and Human Services, along with CPS, they know these kids are being trafficked and sent into prostitution, and no one could care, and no one stops it. And it's like 30 kids a day on average in Dallas.
Right.
Yeah. And speaking of Dallas, don't forget that one of the storylines this year was when Ethan Klein wanted to bomb the NRA building in Dallas during the time when President Trump was going to be in there. Do you guys remember that?
I hate that Ethan Klein. I had to learn who Ethan Klein was this year.
And also he wanted Ben Shapiro to be in the ovens first too.
Right. Yeah.
As well.
I keep having to learn who this washed up hack is that I apparently missed in his early YouTube glory.
It's Frank's cousin. Easy. Chill out. No, I'm kidding.
No, it's just, I feel like that was like the most disappointing part of the year, was just having to learn who Ethan Klein was. It's just like, is that his whole thing? Is just like, hey, can I find the worst possible thing to say, because I can't make content anymore, so I just have to be an asshole.
He also like said, a discount Cenk.
He is though. He's like fatter and worse. Yeah,
right. Crazy.
Yeah,
he had said he doesn't need worse than Cenk. That is saying a lot, by the way. I can't think of anybody lower than Cenk. And then you bring up Ethan Klein. I'm like, oh wait, I'm sorry, Cenk. There's actually someone I despise more than you,
or at the same level, at least.
At least at the same level, yeah. I mean, at least Ethan Klein doesn't. He's not the horse whisperer. Let's put it that way.
Well, he thinks he knows everything about horses and horse medicine, and when he says, we have experts. You don't need to question the science. You don't need to do your own research and look into the masks, because you can just trust Fauci. That's why we have him. Yeah. When people say that, I'm like, oh my God, all you're doing is showing me that you think it's fine to be stupid. And that may be fine for that person, but I'm not agreeing to that.
Yeah, right. Cenk and Ethan are like YouTube's golden children.
Well, which one's the bread and which one's the butter? Because I think Cenk's probably the tub of butter, and I think Ethan Klein is probably the bread.
Yeah, he's the Wonder Bread, the white bread for that one for sure. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, like, too, when you say something like trust Fauci, what day? Like, this is the thing, like, there's no person alive that can be like, yeah, we have to trust Fauci, and like that in and of itself is a statement. It's like, what you mean when he said, don't wear the mask because they won't do anything, it'll make you touch your face more and spread COVID more, or when he said you should wear the mask, or he said you should double mask, actually double masking is bad, actually triple mask. Like, when trust Fauci, when on which day?
I know the answer to this. It's not a trick question. When you see an open casket Fauci funeral, you may trust what's coming out of his mouth.
Fair. Yeah.
When you know he's dead, not Fauci's been reported dead, when you can see that he is dead and then they pour dirt on his coffin, then you'll be like, all right, now I trust what he says. And until then, I think he's a liar.
We found out, last couple of years that his oversight was supposed to come from not the NIH, but the
NCAA.
Not the
NIAID.
Right.
Yeah.
Who his wife heads up.
Right. The NIH.
Yeah.
She heads up the ethics.
Mm-hmm.
Insane.
Yeah, so,
right.
There you go. Yeah,
we found a lot of nepotism this year. And we found a lot of weird nepotism this year because whose niece was Podesta's niece running the child safety stuff on Twitter?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just the Pizzagate guy's niece. That makes sense.
That does. You gotta have somebody on the inside to facilitate the deliveries.
To be fair, if there was someone who would know what child sex trafficking looked like, it would be someone related to Podesta or Abby.
So true.
Is Abby over there voguing while she's trying to cover her mouth?
I think
I always
so.
cover my mouth while I chew. I don't know.
He's the empanadas.
He's the empanadas.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. All right. What other stories we have from this year that we can look back on and think about?
You guys remember when Biden declared war on all conservatives?
Yeah, and the Nebraska teen was ran over by a deranged Biden supporter.
Yep.
Man, it has been a wild year. But yeah, we can't just gloss over what might have been the most jaw-dropping moment of the year, which was Biden just like hammering on a podium with blood red like lights behind him. This 9, 9, 9. Just like it was.
Can someone clip that, please?
It was the creepiest thing ever. I remember we were watching it, and I had a total different podcast episode planned that night. And I think Abby messaged me. She's like, "Tag me in, bro." And it just changed everything to talk about it because it was one of those moments in history. I'm never gonna forget watching this Biden speech where he's like, "Yeah, I mean, I just can't even."
The red speech. I would like to see more people call it that.
This is when he became officially like the Pitler, the pedo Hitler.
Yeah.
He was always a pedophile, but they always called him Sleepy Joe. He was not sleepy on this night.
Yeah, pedo Hitler Biden trended for weeks after that, and they kept trying to. Remember, Twitter kept trying to downtrend it. People aren't really tweeting about pedo Hitler Biden; they're tweeting about LeBron James or something.
LeBron James.
Yeah.
No, I tried to have them indulge yesterday. They wouldn't budge. They're a bunch of straight-laced Marys.
Tom was like, "Would you like some marijuana?" And my husband, who cannot,
he's like, "No, I can't have any nicotine." I was like, "Right, it's not that."
Funny,
yeah, he can't have either because he's a firefighter and he gets tested a lot.
Right,
fair enough.
So the guys that are listening on John's end, he didn't try it, so don't even think about testing him.
Well,
exactly.
he didn't inhale.
Yeah,
let's put it down.
I did smoke,
just
but I did not inhale.
But
oh my God!
He only did listening to Tupac CDs before Tupac released them. So
that's right. He did. He was listening to Tupac in 1972
in his dorm room.
In his dorm room. Yep. Has anybody seen Kamala Harris in 6 months? I don't think we've had a Kamala Harris story for the second half of this year.
We have
Governor Harris.
There was.
Am I wrong? I just we never see her.
Well, there was a recent story in the last week talking about how she was very frustrated because of the responsibilities that she's had to have as vice president. And I don't know what those responsibilities are.
Well, even
not getting to go to Europe,
right? Even the stories where
she went to the border in Europe.
The European border.
Yeah, I didn't even get to go to Europe, so why would I go to the border?
I feel like
I see your Jilton.
Borders are.
The last story I heard was when she confused North and South Korea.
Yeah.
We have a very important relationship with North Korea. I'm like, you're saying the quiet part out loud again.
Yeah. No, there's two stories where she really should have been front and center, and that's when they shipped a bunch of illegals to her house, and she wasn't even home. So there's other than here's a gaffe here and there. And I love what is it? The other big story of her this year, not pie charts.
The Venn
diagrams.
Yes.
Oh, I love me some Venn diagrams, and that was
Yeah, she went away halfway through the year. They realized they cannot continue to put her out there because she was making Joe Biden look competent.
She was less visible than Hunter Biden's illegitimate son.
She was less Son, I thought he had a daughter.
Oh, well, who knows? We've never
He's
seen
trans.
it. Cheers.
PA
praise- yeah, go
PA
ahead.
Mace, I'm sure that's Pennsylvania Mace, maybe, or Pamas, says, cheers, praying for more people to wake up in 2023. Yeah, maybe the resolution for people should just be to spread the good word, and maybe you can just take that however you want it.
Leave my son out. Leave my son daughter out of this.
Yeah, Hunter Biden's son, Bo Jr., named after his brother, who he
The one that
stole his
died in
wife
Iraq?
from twice.
The one that died in Iraq twice, and then
I just think about
after
Iraq because that's where my son died. I mean, you know the thing.
Yeah, I got cancer from the oil slicked on my windshield.
That might be my other favorite Biden story from the year, though, was that he got cancer, then he got COVID, and then he was a deep fake, and then he was back. It was a wild week where it was like, is he alive or dead? That was like an honest, legitimate concern of most Americans for a whole week. Like, is Biden alive?
Well, I think it's more the concern, like they wouldn't tell us if he wasn't, and they would
Right.
just be working on the next like animated corpse they can Frankenstein up and give his voice box, and then put the core in the back and turn the knob or whatever, and have it go zzz, and Robo Biden is back to life. However, they have to do it because he's clearly not a human at this point. I don't believe.
My other favorite story of the year is how we were all talking about Ukraine nonstop until somebody slapped somebody else at the Oscars, and then we stopped.
There was more conspiracy theory stuff around the fact, like, did he really slap him or was it staged? Then, hey, maybe there's actual weapon testing labs in Ukraine. Like that.
Yeah, that was
story was around less time than Will.
That's
Smith's
right.
slapping.
That's
what
right.
I-
Victoria Newland was like, there are bio labs. I wouldn't
Mhm.
say weapons, although there is anthrax. So
I remember that because Salty Cracker got suspended off of YouTube for a week because he did a
Ditto.
video about the biolabs, and then like a day later they were having that Senate committee hearing, and they had her on there, and she's like, "Well,
yeah, he ended up being awarded the win on his appeal the day after the strike was
mhm,
over. So like the suspension still lasted, but the strike didn't exist anymore.
right, yeah,
Yeah, it's
And
just
then we had the
biological
Will Smith-
facilities that produce weapons. Let's not call them bioweapons labs.
And
guys.
and it's not like they're only run so that they will target specific ethnicities that they're living in the Lugansk and Donbass.
right. Yeah.
Dumbass, you said? The dumbass region?
The
dumbass thing.
dumbass region. Yeah, and the Lviv, like live on your own.
And don't forget the story of the ghost of Kyiv shooting down
Oh,
all those
yeah.
Russian jets,
Can we
and
just
Adam
point-
King is there following for it.
Do you guys have the meme of Zelensky sitting in the cardboard box holding like a fake steering wheel, and they're like, guys, it's the ghost of Kiev, and he's like making a plane out of a box, like.
I was glad you said it that way, Tom, because I was like, do you guys remember that short time, like less than a year ago, when it was Kiev and the Ukraine, and then all of a sudden it was Ukraine and Kyiv, and like nobody knew why.
Yeah, and we all knew the Ukraine was like a corrupt offshoot of Russia that was like bound to come
Right.
back at some point. That was how every movie always phrased it. And now it's like, do you mean the shining beacon of truth and hope and light and democracy of the East?
Go back, watch any movie ever made, because I don't think they've made anything in the last year, other than like CGI blue alien porn or something like that. Where they,
Wait, you'll have to tell me
with
later.
their
Avatar.
braids, the Avatar with their braid sex.
You watched
And-
that?
No, I did not watch
Oh.
Avatar
No.
2.
PJ
Sounds
would
like he knows a
never-
lot about it for not having
Yeah.
watched it.
PJ would never watch a movie that appropriates alien culture.
Yeah, come on, guys.
Only aliens
Aliens.
played by aliens.
I will
Oh.
watch something that appropriates Raelian culture just for scientific study, but yeah, only if they cast actual Martians in the next Avatar 3. No, but like what was like on this Kiev? It's always been Kiev. It has literally always been Kiev. And then I remember people kept saying Kyiv, and I'm like, that's not a thing.
Yeah,
And I found out why. It's just Ukrainian propaganda that we're of course pushing, because that's another huge story of the last year. DuckDuckGo used to be trusted. Remember that? Sorry,
Yeah.
I'll let you read the super chat first.
Just for such a short amount of time that DuckDuckGo was trustworthy.
right.
Mr. DJs again, how many quality criminal elite overlords do we got? The old ones that built it are degrading as they approach not waking up again, right? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. They're going to be in the ground. New ones are stupid and inexperienced, both impatient and jumping the gun. Yeah, it's like it's like what people say with wealth. They say, the first generation earns it and makes it. The second one, I would assume, like finishes that arc, the parabola of, okay, you kind of evened off, you've plateaued it. You didn't wreck it, but you didn't add to it. And
Right.
because of that gap, between the first generation and then the third that comes into it. There is no transference of skill or work ethic or all those things. And the third generations end up losing it. And people think that Joe Biden's generation is the first one, and they're not. They're the second one.
Yeah.
So we're now seeing Hunter Biden be the third generation of retards,
Right.
and we see it out in the open.
Mhm.
It always had, yeah. Same with new money or not new money, but it's
Like Nancy Pelosi has that photo of her. She's like 14 with JFK, and it's like, oh, so
Right.
she was the little girl then.
Yeah.
So like you
Yep.
have to realize like, oh, she's the middle group where they're not doing anything good. They're just siphoning stuff, and the next group is going to have to fix it, or we're done.
Yep.
Yeah, you build a criminal empire, you run a criminal empire, you crash a criminal empire, and that's what we're seeing. Yeah, with
Step
Hunter
4,
Biden.
profit.
Yeah, yeah. It's and never
Ivan
mind.
says
I
we
was-
went from fighting Nazis to supporting them. What an upside down world.
right.
You guys have
The
heard that
actual real
joke.
Nazis.
World War III is starting, and you'll never guess which side the Nazis are on this time.
The
Yeah,
same
they finally
side-
chose the side that's going to win.
the same side that employed them at NASA.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say the Nazis have been on the West Side since 1946. So
Yeah, you know what? I'll just put it this way: the Nazi Party just speaks English now. That's the only difference.
right.
It's called the Uniparty in the United States, and it's the Ukrainian government there. And like,
Isn't this-
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
no, I think isn't that the way you'd put it? Like if you looked at what the nationalist socialism is, and what they were actually, not all of it in Germany, but what they were pushing towards the end there, all of the insane criminality that was the Nazi Party of Germany. You see the same thing. If they just were speaking English, essentially it's kind of what the Democrats are getting into now, 100 years ago. Almost exactly 100 years, which is odd. The whole eugenics thing, the whole everything. You look at a Californian history from 100 years ago, and it's like, hey, they were also committing eugenics atrocities against orphans and drug-addicted births and anyone else who was a less needed person. If you could be less dead, then you would be in California. And they're doing the same thing now in Skid Row.
Yeah, and Canada's keeping ahead of us too. So
Bingo. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're leading the way. They're making Nazism look cool because they're doing the opposite of any of the stuff that Nazis did. They're not being nationalistic. They're not trying to say that it's all about like helping your neighbor. It's just like the government's going to do things for you. And they think in Canada that that's cool because they're not saying it with a German dialect.
Real quick, Ivan, I appreciate you wanting to send a super chat. So this channel, the Last American Pubcast channel, is not monetized, but if you pop over to the Let's Be Frank channel, it's also streaming this stream, and you can super chat over there if you would like to, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
yep.
Huzzah.
That was my
Huzzah!
whole pitch.
That was good. That was good. All that chatting with Abby really
Yeah, chatting with that. I look back on that. You know what it taught me? That podcast was how to hold a thought in my head for long enough to spit it out on audio. That's all it taught me.
That's impressive for a woman. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I know.
That's impressive for a man, frankly.
That is impressive for anybody in 2022 when everybody's got like a million distractions and they can't keep a thought going for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I was curious, not that this is one of the biggest stories of the year, but maybe just knowing that the transportation secretary, Pete Buttigieg, is a known secretary of transportation. Like that typically people don't know who the secretary of transportation is, but everyone
Right.
knows who he is because he's so bad at his job. And not that I, want to harp on a guy because he's terrible, but I will in this case. We have multiple videos of people being arrested now because you saw that Southwest has canceled 5,000, 10,000, 16,500 different flights nationwide. And then because people are becoming agitated within the airports with nowhere to go with their luggage having been taken. I don't know if you saw that. People are being arrested. They're being asked to leave and go nowhere without their bags in a place that they never intended to be.
Wow. Yeah.
I
It
didn't
looks
see
like
that,
the
no.
beginning of planes, trains, and automobiles.
A little bit. I wonder if this will, I have it queued up. So I don't know if you want to hear it.
Our the airlines are dying. I mean, I would not be surprised if within another generation we don't have air travel, or at least not the way that we have it right now.
Yeah. Maybe high speed rail will be the way we go.
Yeah.
I mean, have you been on an airplane recently? It's not like it used to be. It feels like it's going to fall apart at any moment.
Is there audio to this video? I'm seeing it, but I'm not hearing anything.
Oh, is there no audio coming through? That's a bummer.
No.
Yeah, that's why I was still talking.
Skadoosh. Well,
Skadoosh.
hold please. Limited
Why is he doing this?
Help you with any questions you have. Go. Yes. You have no ticket. You don't need to be in the secured side. Let's go.
We have tickets.
Your ticket just got canceled.
We're not here for that flight.
That's number 26.
What a layover. Like, there ain't no, like...
We're not.
Okay.
Southwest gate. We're not even here for this flight.
Where are you trying to go?
Tampa.
So are you guys everybody here is trying to go to Tampa?
I don't know.
No.
I mean, we're
We
on
didn't
the
ask
field. I got
everybody.
nowhere to go. Yeah, that's my wife. I got nowhere to go. Like,
Jesus.
Are these illegal immigrants in Martha's Vineyard? Because it's very reminiscent of those videos.
Like back the blue until they start just, I don't know. I think Back the Blue was honestly, it was well intentioned. It was well intentioned.
Yeah, it was well intentioned until we had people arresting people for being in boats and gardening and having too many people at Thanksgiving dinner and stuff like that. It's like you have to earn that, I believe. And that's not me being anti-cop. It's me being anti-terrible cop, which unfortunately that power shift it seemed to just go to more and more people who don't deserve power.
I think what happened.
Maybe it's just attracting those people more often, and it's unfortunate for the good police officers who are out there.
Unfortunately, I think the combination of Black Lives Matter and the vaccines forced a lot of good cops out, and now we have the dregs.
Yeah, people who should not have power.
I know a few good cops that are still in the system. My brother-in-law is a good man, and he's still in the system, but they're far more rare.
When's the
now,
divorce?
Than they used to be.
It's terrible.
Oh, man.
That's when I lost a lot of respect for the police is back during when they were enforcing the mandates and things for people not wearing masks inside stores and things like that, where they were being called in to remove them and stuff like that. So a lot of trusted professions lost a lot of credibility in the last couple of years. Medical profession, nurses, doctors, police officers, and that lost a lot of credibility.
Oh, it's because the whole world has accepted the left's premise on defer to the experts fallacy when it comes to the CDC and all these other places. Like as soon as you're the ruling authority on everything and no one can question you at all, that power gets people's. Maybe it's another like one of those third generation things. You know what I mean? Like it starts off good and then just get more legacy people in there that just suck. They've just been kind of like with the scientists, especially, they've just been like brought in by like people who did real work. And they're just like, well, now they've gained this credibility and I can come in and work at, the CDC or the NIH or whatever. And because everybody's been told and indoctrinated that everything I say is above reproach, then I can just say whatever I want.
I think another unfortunate thing I've seen in the losing of credibility of so many professions and institutions is that now I think I see a lot of people kind of coming a little bit unhinged because too many things have become untrustworthy. And now people don't know what to believe and don't have any type of foundation for their worldview. And they're just spinning off in all types of directions.
Oh, I totally agree. I'm one of those. I've already said publicly, and I'll say it again. If there's law enforcement on my property and you don't have any like prior written reason for coming and I don't know you're going to be there, prepare to be fired upon.
Yeah, I think Abby's right, though. I mean, this is like one of those things. We've talked about this a lot in Conspiracy Pill, but there's like certain things where there's some conspiracies where they're just so insane, and the only reason people are believing them is because they're so used to being lied to.
Yeah,
and it's unfortunate because I don't blame the people who are starting to fall into these some of these traps. Not fully, I should say. I don't fully blame them because the people that they're looking to, they usually used to be able to trust, have lost so much credibility that now you're not going, well, they're lying to me on X, Y, and Z. You're going, they must be lying to me on literally everything. If they say good morning, it must be, the middle of the night. If they say the sky's blue, I might look up and see the sky's blue, but I can't believe that anymore because that person said it. And that's an unfortunate situation where we're in.
Yeah. If the science is not trustworthy, why wouldn't I believe the earth is flat? I think that at some point you just come completely unhooked.
Wait a second. I think we just had a breakthrough. A revelation, perhaps. An epiphany of sorts. The earth could be penile shaped.
You got me. I'm a penis earther.
She's a cock earther.
She's a cock earther. I freaking knew it.
The phallic earther convention video? Super funny.
We're not
Frank,
watching
have you seen that?
We're not going to do phallic earthers? Okay.
No.
Okay.
Chris Jolly says Georgia Guidestones was a big story this year that kind of got swept under the thing. Nope, we never came to the conclusion of who destroyed the stones. They quit looking for them.
Even with video footage.
I think it was the elite. I think they were like, shit, we're way too overt with this. And they're
It
going to
was
use
a
these
little-
stones
Right.
as a piece of evidence. We better blow this up and pretend that we were victimized.
It was a little too overt, and it also makes you wonder, because the whole thing was based around like astrological signs and hidden messages. Like with them blowing it up, could it have stopped people from finding some other hidden secret that was in there that might have exposed someone? Because
Like a plan they haven't taken yet. They're like,
Like
there's
the
another
vault that
level
was-
that we.
or like the vault that was buried underneath that we were told nothing was in. We're
No,
just we're taking their word.
Yeah,
Sorry.
they
Wait, I
said
didn't
there
even
was
hear
no
about
vault.
that.
Yeah, there was nothing. They said they didn't find anything buried under there.
Wait, they
That-
said there was
that-
no vault?
Right. When they
What? That's
they dug it up. I remember covering this story. I did like 3 or 4 videos on it, and they dug everything up where the vault was supposed to be, and they claimed there was nothing there at all. There was nothing buried underneath.
So you have to believe that the guy who built this, Joe, whatever his name was, I've covered this story in the past, this totally trustworthy dude who built this in the 1980s or whatever, that said, hey, I put a vault down there. I don't know what they put in it, but I built the thing and it's down there. And then the stone above it says, hey, underneath this is a time capsule.
Right.
Yeah. Now it's blown up and the time capsule's gone. And there not only was nothing in it, it just didn't exist.
What
Yeah. That's the
massive
story they're
troll.
going
Dude,
with?
coolest troll of all time.
Dude, and they knocked it
You
down.
survive
like
the
next day
apocalypse.
and
You
everything.
you survive the apocalypse. You survive the the nuclear holocaust. You survive everything, and then you take these stones that have allowed you to like rebuild society, and you tear them down because you think that the like key to like everything is going to be right beneath your feet, and then there's just nothing. Gotcha. Like, you'd be so disappointed.
We got society down to 500 million. All right. We genocided our way to get here. Now let's open this vault. And it's a big troll. It's just like confetti. Like,
yeah, it's like the answer to human
douchebag.
life. What's the answer to life? It's 42.
Yeah. I was Guardians. No, not Guardians.
That's it.
Guide
Yeah,
to
exactly
the-
right. Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
I know. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
It's Hitchhiker's Guardians to the Galaxy.
Hitchhikers of the Guardians of the Galaxy 2
That's right.
on
This
Blu-ray.
is coming.
The Return of Groot.
The Return of Groot.
Groot was my favorite character in Hitchhiker's
I
Guide to the
think
I
Galaxy.
like Teen Groot because he was attitudinal.
Yeah.
This is
He's
the
playing
year
his little Game Boy.
I finally gave up on Marvel.
Yes.
For
we
a
were
little,
both big Marvel fans.
Yeah.
It was impossible this year.
Took me a while. You guys saw the Legos. I had to move them out of the room because I'm like, I can't look at you guys anymore.
Can't look.
You let me down.
Was there a single decent thing from Marvel this year?
I don't think so. The last one that I watched
She-Hulk?
was. I couldn't
Spider-Man?
get through that.
I'm
You know
just
what's
kidding.
sad?
Spider-Man.
You know
Spider-Man
what's
was
sad?
decent.
Was that this year though? That was last year.
The last one I watched was Thor:
2020.
Love and Thunder, and about half of it was good, and the other half of it was terrible. And it was like,
It was like
It
two
was-
different movies.
yeah, exactly. It's like you took a My Little Pony puzzle with rainbows and butterflies and like smushed it in with a like decent story with Christian Bale in it, and it was terrible. And I remember leaving the theater like, this is probably the last time I'm ever going to pay to see a Marvel movie.
I was done before that. And I wanted to like before I was done, I wanted to like that one, and I just couldn't even get myself to go to it because I'd seen Doctor Strange 2, which was atrocious. Yeah, Spider-Man was last year. So
There you go.
that's what I was gonna say. I don't think I maybe I'm wrong. I don't think 2022 had a single Marvel thing that was worth watching. I didn't finish Hawkeye. I was told it was good. I didn't watch Moon Knight, but it was just impossible for me to want to. After Doctor Strange 2 was the worst, maybe the worst Marvel movie ever made. And then She-Hulk, which maybe I'm still not sure it's the worst thing they
The
put out this
Eternals,
year, by
I
the way.
think. I think the Eternals was the worst one made.
The Eternals
Oh, well, I
was
didn't watch the
crappy.
Eternals either.
That one with the middle-aged girl, I couldn't get through it.
Middle-aged girl.
Middle-aged girl.
No, I'm sorry, middle school.
Most people can't get through
Marvel?
middle-aged women stuff.
Yeah, Miss Marvel.
Yeah, I couldn't watch Miss Marvel.
Moon
She-Hulk
Knight-
Oh,
was
dude,
more
yeah,
than
the
enough.
marvelous Miss Maisel sucks. I agree with you.
Moon Knight was decent.
Was it?
But mostly because I really like Egyptian mythology. So I probably gave it more than it deserved.
I will
Wasn't
say
that the
this,
gay
last-
movie that won the Oscar?
Rose?
No.
Moonlight?
No, Moonlight
Oh.
was. Yeah, Moonlight.
Yeah, this was the year of bros.
Gosh. No, what I was going to say is
Yeah, PJ's
Totally
favorite
lost my
movie,
point.
Bro. So we totally forgot.
Loki. I was going to say
Ah.
this. Loki was the last good thing Marvel did.
Mm.
I
And
think
even
Loki
that
came
one
out-
was kind of
It wasn't the best, but it was the
It still
best.
felt like the old Marvel.
Yeah, it still did a little bit. And I mean, was it Woody Harrelson? He was no,
Owen
it was
Wilson?
Owen Wilson. Owen Wilson was actually really good in that. So like I want to like that one, but I don't think anything else from Marvel has been Man, I made myself finish She-Hulk, and that was one of the most painful experiences of my life. And I was like, all right, Marvel, you've taken enough blood, sweat, and tears from me to sit through that a mess. I can't watch anything else.
Yeah, but even in Loki, they subverted everyone's expectations and made the woman Loki the best Loki of all the Lokis.
It was still pretty woke. I will say, like, the new Loki was pretty woke, and it
was wokey.
It was wokey, but besides that, it was decent.
It was so on brand for Loki to fall in love with himself, though.
That's why it was that's the only reason it got a pass from me, is because I think the point was that Loki is such a narcissist. The only way you can love someone if it was
him. Yeah.
Isn't Norse mythology have him like nailing down a horse at one point too? Like Loki creates a child out of a beast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
Not a big toss from what Disney's already trying to get into.
Yeah.
Yep.
Outside of Marvel, though, like, was this a year for any?
No,
am I missing something? Was there a single?
I was reading an article from Bounty into the Comics talking about how much of a downturn this year was for Hollywood and how many billions of dollars they lost because people not wanting to go to the movies because they were conditioned in 2020 and 2021 to watch stuff at home and not go because you could spread the virus.
Yeah.
So
you guys see Pinocchio?
One.
There was like a real Pinocchio movie that just came out, and I don't even think they marketed it.
There was like 3 of them that came out.
Yeah.
There was 3 that came out this year.
Oh,
were any of them good?
Pinocchio movies?
Yes, Pinocchio movies.
You're lying. I see your nose growing right now.
No, he's probably. I believe him because this is Hollywood does this all the time where they sell the same script 3 times.
I just did it again. The chip bowl has lost it.
Yeah,
there's more chips everywhere else than in
one
the
of
bowl.
the Pinocchios was a stop action movie.
Oh, okay.
And that one's on Netflix right now. I heard that one's actually pretty good. I haven't watched it. I'm just saying. And then you had the Disney one, which was Tom Hanks was in that one where he portrayed Geppetto. And then there was one other one.
Tom Hanks is a pedo.
I was gonna say, Tom Hanks playing Geppetto seems too off for me. I don't think
little on the nose.
He's like, you can just call me pedo for short.
Somebody says Top Gun, and I wanted to mention that because I feel like in some ways it's not that Top Gun isn't good, it's that it's good because it's just action. It's just purely fun. And like that's the best thing we can get now, which isn't bad. It's like it's better than nothing, but like there wasn't any serious movies that were
I thought it was good because it did pay homage and respected the actual original movie. And they didn't completely tear down Tom Cruise's character, where they've done
it was a pure
where they destroyed legacy characters.
It was a pure fun
never
movie.
Seen either one.
Crap on its original, and like that's a huge thing for 2022 because the only way, and I made this point maybe a year or two ago, where I said I think the idea of a remake or the idea of a sequel nowadays is to say, hey kids, I liked this movie when I was a kid, like Ghostbusters or whatever, so I want to take my kids to see it. And then you take your kids and like, oh, they subverted everything that movie was about, and they've taken all of the moral value and they've flipped it on its head. So now I am dragging my kids along to see a movie that craps on the original and says, hey, maybe the original was a positive message for X, Y, or Z, but instead it's woke nonsense. That was Ghostbuster female remake. That's every single remake or reboot I can think of outside of Top Gun.
Yeah, starting in 2016, any type of reboot that started between 2014 and 2016, when all the reboots started, they started to swap out legacy characters and really, I mean, even Doctor Who, they swapped out the legacy character of Doctor Who and made her into a woman and had their first gay companion, and now they're doing a fan tease where they brought David Tennant back as the next Doctor, but they're going to transition to a black Doctor, which is fine. I don't care about that, but his companion now.
What universe is it set in?
Come on, make the premise believable.
Start with the black nurse. He's in.
If you know the lore behind Doctor Who, he can regenerate into anything. But for the longest time, the premise.
No, Frank, I was making a racist joke there.
I know you were. I know.
We were trying to move past it, Tom.
Yeah, I was just informing the viewers of some of the lore behind Doctor Who.
Yeah,
I see.
But they made him gay.
So the Doctor
right?
can be black, even, is what you're saying.
I don't know if they are making the new current Doctor, the Black Doctor, gay, but I do know for sure that the companion for the new Doctor, who is black, is going to be trans.
Well, I know on Grey's Anatomy, the black doctor left and then the gay doctor left. So maybe they'll do it that way too on the Doctor.
Maybe.
Yeah, I
And-
had to stop watching Grey's Anatomy because every single character was gay or trans or something weird.
yeah. So
Oh, I was referring to the actors.
I was.
Well,
Well, that's just normal.
Yeah, Jared and I, we were watching the transformation to the Last Doctor episode of who was it that was playing it? The lady doctor. I can't think of her name at the moment. It's escaping me. But with her final episode where she transformed to David Tennant, I told my wife, I said, with this is just a way for people to come back to the show because they're going to get excited because David Tennant's going to be here for like 3 episodes and they're going to hype up. You know, they brought the writer back from like the first couple seasons of Doctor Who reboot, and that was really good. And got David Tennant. It's going to be really good. They're going to suck everyone back in. And then, and then subvert everyone's expectations and delivered this woke nonsense that they're going to give to. And, you know, I'm willing to give the new one a try. However, with knowing already what I see coming in, I got a feeling there's going to be current day politics and they're going to continue to push the message.
I was the biggest fan for the longest time, and I loved David Tennant, and I loved the Matt Smith Doctor.
Matt Smith is my favorite Doctor.
He is my favorite too. Good choice. And then the writing started to go downhill a little bit.
With
Capaldi. I thought Capaldi did a great job.
I did as well.
But the story started falling off, and then they got the female doctor, which I thought she as an actress did a good job, but the script was just really going downhill. And now
you guys should do a Doctor Who podcast called Who Cares?
Tom stole that joke right out from under me.
Oh yeah,
baby. I like David Tennant because I've seen one episode of Doctor Who ever and then never watched it again. So.
No, I do like this suggestion though, not to totally change gears, but
probably would.
There, you know, we were talking about the woke sequels and how if you're going to take original IP, you want to bastardize it in some way for the next generation. I like this take on the Goonies. We need a Goonies remake where Sloth has just taken 2 jabs and 3 boosters.
Nice.
Goonies was ahead of its time.
I do want to say about remakes. A lot of times they remake them woke and it's awful. But even Top Gun, it wasn't good because they came up with something good, fresh in 2022.
That's the point I was making.
Only good, because it seems like the only good movies that they can create now are ones that rely on a story that was written in another time, and so all they have to do is not ruin it. But they don't know how to write a good story.
Them, which is like it's sad that the bar is so low.
Yeah, they don't know how to not ruin a good old story, and they certainly don't know how to write a new good story.
Yeah. Like I was watching this movie. Sorry, not to cut you off, Frank. I was watching this movie from 1990, I think it was, or 92, from Disney of all places. I don't know if you guys have heard of this one called The Lion King. It's basically just Hamlet, but with animals.
Oh yeah, where it's just like a remake of a Shakespeare play.
Yeah, like no one even thought to check Disney
familiar.
On that one.
Yeah,
and of course, you know who's going to sue the Shakespeare estate? I mean,
yeah, I was going to say,
good old Bill. He's cool with it.
Hamlet.
This is why Daily Wire is being successful in engaging some of these open areas of entertainment, such as, you know, the woke Hollywood actually producing some films of their own now and, you know, combating culture in that sense and actually producing a story that is, or a movie that's driven by an actual story and a plot and characters that you can invest in.
Didn't they do Run, Hide, Hunt, Shoot, Die, Kill or something? Whatever that movie was, where it was like kind of good actually.
Run,
but
Hide, Fight was actually really good. I liked it.
Run, Hide, Fight. I knew it was one of those.
And there's another one that starred Gina Carano.
I didn't see. Did you see that one?
I did. Terror on the Prairie.
Yeah, Terry on the Prairie.
It was just over. It was just over my line for gore, but it was so good. It was worth the nightmares.
Did you get a couple nightmares after it?
I can't remember, but it was pretty tough in some places.
I felt the same way in I think it was like 3rd grade when I watched The Ring. Terrifying.
Yeah, I am at a 3rd grade level for movies. Confirmed.
One series
I'm glad that you picked up what I was saying there. Thanks.
One series I've actually started watching is the Cobra Kai series. I've gotten through season 1, and that one's actually pretty good. If you've seen past season 1, don't say anything because I don't want to know.
Now, is that supposed to be based on the Karate Kid? Because I haven't seen that one either.
Yeah.
I love it because it's nostalgic, and I don't like it because Ralph Macchio is not a good actor.
Oh, that's why I think I find that's pretty charming about him, though, because he is a lousy actor. I'm like, I could get behind it because that's how he acted in the Karate Kid.
Exactly.
You know, maybe his characters are just bad. Okay, guys, you don't know. Maybe he's really good at being just dipshit characters.
No.
I still feel like the last decent, or not just decent, I actually really like this movie. The last good original movie was Tenet. And I don't think I've seen one since where it was an original, not remake, not
Tenet.
based on some other IP that was actually worth watching.
Every week, every time it comes up, I tell people you got to watch Tenet, and they're like,
love
Tenet?
that movie.
You either know Tenet or you're like, what's Tenet?
Yeah,
I love
which
it.
is
You
also
gotta
the
watch
premise
it,
of the movie, which is odd.
Yeah, I've watched. I remember when it came out. I never did watch it. So
it's one you got to watch a few times. By the way, thank you, Ocean Breeze Salty.
First DiGiorno of the new year. Is that what it said?
Yeah.
Stop by AOM, everyone.
Why didn't we get
ancient
DiGiorno for after stream?
Why are we stupid?
I don't know.
We have stupid empanadas.
Ancient Order of Men.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's Paul John Revere.
So I keep seeing a story come up. Do we want to hit on this now? Because I don't know if we're going to go a half hour longer than normal since it's getting near 9 o'clock and we came in a half hour late. But people keep wanting to talk about the Tate story. And I feel like, ending the year with probably what's going to be the biggest story of the end of 2022 and is going to be the biggest story going into 2023. At least that's the way I see it.
Yeah.
That was a big story too. Alex Stein trolling AOC.
It was just a funny story. I don't know how big it was, but
it was a big booty story.
That's true. Yeah. It was thick. It was a thick story with 3 C's, but what
I think this is going to split the stream a little bit. I think PJ and I have one opinion and Frank and Tom have another, and that's totally okay because we can disagree over drinks. So go for it, you guys.
I will agree with you guys now. I've come around.
Yeah.
What's your opinion again?
I want to set up the story a little bit.
Go ahead.
So this is what's so weird about this. So I'm going to try to give this the best way that we can. And me and Abby are deep diving in this a lot further because we want to really get behind what's going on. So I just want to give my first take opinions on this. But so Andrew Tate got into a Twitter spat with Greta Thunberg. How do you say her retarded name?
Is it the blue one?
No, yeah.
Is it?
How
dare you?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Greta Thunberg?
How dare you?
Yeah, say it right. It's Thunberg. He got in a Twitter spat with her, and he's basically like, "Hey, I've got a bunch of cars that put out a lot of emissions, and screw you." Is basically what the tweet was. It's essentially what it was. And then she wrote him back saying, "Well, you can tell me all about your cars by writing me at littledickenergy@whogivesaf.com or something like that."
Something like that.
And I don't think this actually has anything to do with the story we're going to be talking about, but that's where everybody starts with this because, maybe a little bit does. But then basically he puts out a video response to her and he's like smoking a cigar, talking about how he doesn't care about carbon emissions. And one of the things he does in this video is he's like, hand me that pizza box and make sure that we don't recycle the cardboard. Because he's trying to piss off Greta Thunberg as much as he can. I think I said it wrong.
How dare you?
And they right away, or within hours, I believe, the Romanian police come and arrest him. And there's this story that comes out saying the Romanian police found Andrew Tate because of the pizza box, and they've arrested him on child trafficking. So if you're conspiracy minded like me and Abby,
human trafficking.
Not child sex trafficking. It just says human trafficking, which I don't think it would be children if the story's true anyway.
Correct.
So basically, if you're like me and you're conspiracy minded, you see a headline that says Andrew Tate pizza human trafficking, and you're like, what? What? I thought we were not allowed to talk about pizza and human trafficking in the same sentence, but now we can apparently. And he gets arrested. His brother gets arrested, and 2 other people who I still have not found. Ian had the best response. I hope small dick energy is renewable.
It is. Don't worry.
I think Greta Thunberg has some of that going on for herself as well. But yeah, so basically it was Andrew Tate, his brother Tristan, and 2 yet unnamed people. And one story leaked that it might be women. It might be Romanian women. We just know the Romanian citizens. Am I doing a terrible
live
job
reaction?
This?
No, this is just live reaction as I'm learning about all this.
Yeah. They have been arrested, and originally it was going to be 24 hours while they searched their place. I almost said FBI, but it's Romania, so it's some other agency that I can't remember. Is that what it is?
I was just saying it backwards.
Oh, I don't remember. It's a 4-letter thing with like a J in it. I don't remember.
Oh, I wrote it down.
Yeah.
Oh,
anyway.
I did. It was like the something
DOJ?
joint terrorism. No, they're calling it joint terrorism / like criminal organization, organized crime.
Right. Yeah. So they were coming after him for organized crime and human trafficking,
which is kind of tight. Like if the government's going to charge you with something, organized crime is kind of like gangster,
which is hilarious because he has admitted himself on video to being kind of basically the mafia. That if you come across him and his brother, you'll end up dead in a ditch. He might not have to do it. He'll just make a phone call. I'm paraphrasing, but this is things that he said. And he's been running, we know for a fact, he's been running illegal casinos, and he's been running up to 75 at a time cam girls in something that, by his own admission, at times sounds essentially like human trafficking. And I know what you're going to say, that, you know,
Ty, where do I sign up?
Right. People who are like, if these girls are willing to do this, that's not human trafficking. That's not how some of this looks. And that's where it gets a little sketchy, because he's said many things along the lines of like, basically, I lured these women here and I made it so they couldn't leave.
Yeah.
So
he even called it forced pimping.
He called it forced pimping more than once.
Did he?
So, yes,
yeah.
That is an actual quote.
Goodness.
In writing, not even on a podcast, in writing.
In writing. And beyond that, there was a girl who, this goes back to April. When
Frank, you're on your own on this one. I'm with them now.
This goes back to April when a girl basically went to the Romanian police and said, hey, I escaped essentially, but he was holding me there. And he kind of got out ahead of the story. So here's it becomes a he said, she said on that one case where he's like, yeah, she was here and she just had to lie about us because her boyfriend was mad that she was banging me, essentially is what the story was. So that's about all we have right now, but it's really weird because I feel like everybody wants to make this a Greta Thunberg versus Andrew Tate story. And I feel like that's a big red herring. Am I wrong in how I've kind of played it? Yeah.
No, the 3 charges, according to the Romanian police, are human trafficking, rape, and organized crime.
One of which he's definitely admitted to. He's admitted multiple times to paying off police to run his casinos. Then he's called himself and his brother a mafia.
He's actively bragged about the mafia. He's actively bragged about stuff that falls under the definition of human trafficking, the strict definition. And he's openly stated that he wants to be in Romania because he would get accused of rape in the United States.
And on top of that, he also said he wanted to be in Romania because he's like, if the government's corrupt, I want to be able to use that corruption to my advantage. That was another quote. He's like, if I'm going to live in a corrupt society, he's like, in America, I'm not rich enough to be corrupt. But in Romania, I'm rich enough to be corrupt.
Yeah, he's like, I want corruption to be accessible to everyone.
it was so funny. He's like, corruption for all, equality.
Okay, now when you thought you had me, now I'm back with Frank again. I think he's right. You hear him talk, he makes just enough sense to be not crazy, but just criminally insane.
He's a very good communicator.
I don't think he's crazy. I just think he's a criminal, but yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree he's a sleazeball, obviously. I think we all agree with on that thing on it. But I think the pizza thing was not what gave him away. That actually came back to it being false. That wasn't what how the Romanian police found him. They were already tracking him, I believe,
for 9 months, and then 6 days before he was arrested, he said on Twitter he was in the country. So the pizza thing was a misnomer for sure.
Right. Yeah. And so, but I do find it kind of looking at it at the angle of, he's been saying all this stuff. He's been very outspoken about, governments and sending men to go die in these pointless wars and things like that, and really ticking off a lot of people. And for him saying all these stuff in the past of running illegal casinos, you said, and the cam girl stuff. And if that was the reason they were going to go after him, why didn't they go after him way before that? And not until after he had a public spat with one of the globalists.
He trounced them. It wasn't just that it was like an even-handed public spat. It was she looks dumb and they look hypocritical because her first and best response was to say he has a small dick, which I bet you he could prove her wrong.
According to sources that I've read, people are saying like, no, he can prove her wrong. But I don't know.
Yeah, well, he's a public boxer, a kickboxer. Yeah. At some point, you've seen him in short shorts.
5,000 women. Somebody would have probably said something.
And the one accusation they haven't made is a small dick.
Exactly.
They've said a lot of things about him. That's not the one.
Yeah. And so they nabbed this guy. They take him off. So now, because they essentially almost kicked him off all social media, with the exception of Elon allowing him to come back on Twitter, and that's where he had that public spat. And he had mentioned in previous podcasts that he had been on, and one recently with like Zuby, where he mentioned that, he was on his 3rd strike, and the next strike they were going to, come and take him if he continued to speak out and things like that. Not that I agree with everything he says. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff I don't agree with. I don't agree with a lot of his lifestyle choices and how he decides to live. but it just seemed kind of odd the way it all went down. It is like, okay, we have the globalist darling over here. They have a public spat. They already don't like him. They just made him go away.
Yeah, so here's what, and I agree with that, but here's why. I think two things can be true at once in this case. I think that they absolutely could have used this to be like, hey, this guy that we've allowed to exist as a criminal for this long, now we're done with him.
Right.
And he'd also still be a criminal. Whereas on the other hand, if I'm going to be even more favorable to him, it's true that it could be possible he's not guilty of the crimes that he's charged with, and he's still a scumbag. Right. And like that's what's so interesting about the story to me is I feel a lot. There's two responses I've gotten, and that's that Andrew Tate is the most wonderful conservative of all time. You know, the conservative that pimps women out and brags about it. Right. Thank you. I'm glad we can all agree. I know we all agree on that. But the other one,
he's the greatest pimp of all time.
Right, pimp. And but the other one that I get constantly that. Why'd you pressing the wrong buttons over
that? And Epstein didn't kill himself.
Oh shoot, that one worked really well, but that's not what I meant to click on. So
Andrew
the other
Tate
thing, yeah, Andrew Tate didn't mean to kill himself.
Yeah.
So the other thing that can be the other comment that I get a lot because I've been tweeting about this today and people have been mad at me is that people say, well, they didn't, or what about the Epstein flight logs? And my answer to that is yes, we should get those. If Andrew Tate is trafficking people, we can also be mad about that and want him to. It's really weird to create the false binaries.
Yeah, it was funny because I brought this up on Twitter in a thread where they were all upset with the whole Andrew Tate thing. I said, wait till you hear about all these other things, and they're like, well. Oh, what good a way to change the subject. I said, well, if he's guilty, he's guilty. I didn't care less. I said, but now I find it very hilarious that you care about human trafficking so much now when we have an open border, when we had the whole Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell whole situation where they were convicted on having clients, but not clients and stuff like that. So I find it very hilarious that the left obviously is screaming about, human trafficking now.
See, this is where you're right, and this is where the people who are criticizing me are wrong. Because if you're saying the left didn't care about Epstein and the left didn't care about the open border trafficking, you'd be right. To say that I haven't cared about that.
Oh, no, not you.
No, you're not saying that.
Right.
People on Twitter and Instagram are saying that about me.
I'm saying that.
Yeah. And I'm like, you obviously don't watch any of my podcasts I've done in the last 3 years where the first podcast I ever did, Epstein was one of the biggest topics that we talked about for months.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been very consistent on human trafficking is bad, and I didn't. It's not just
no matter who does it,
right? And that's what frustrates me is like if the left is going to ignore it when Epstein does it, and if I truly think Tate does it, I'm not going to be them and ignore it. So, and again, I don't know if he's guilty of it. I just think he's a scumbag. So
I agree with you. He is a scumbag.
Yeah,
but I like to have a little bit more evidence come out when all the thing settles down. But I know you and stuff like that. So based off of what you said, I would give it a little bit more weight to, some of the stuff he's talked about in the past, but that could be somebody that, wants to have this bravado of themselves and make them bigger and seem maybe cooler, I guess, in a way.
That's the third conspiracy, by the way, is that it's all crap and he's leaning into it for clicks. I could 100% see him pulling out a pizza box and getting someone to write the headline of human trafficking and pizza with Andrew Tate, because that would be the most searched thing in the world. And the one thing that Andrew Tate loves about it is Andrew Tate being the number one Googled person in the world. So this could all be a publicity stunt, and he could be totally innocent of those things too. And I think any one of these conspiracies this early on is, pretty equally valid, or at least, I could see any one of them being true.
See, we all didn't disagree.
No, we didn't.
Right, yeah.
And the thing I come down to is you have to stand for something. And if you only if you only stand for something when your guy isn't doing it, like if I don't care about human trafficking when it's Andrew Tate and I only care about it when it's Epstein, how am I any better than the left?
Right. Yeah.
And the other thing is the only way to not believe he's guilty, in my opinion, is to not believe the words that have come out of his own mouth. Like, he has already openly admitted to these crimes. Maybe not the specific ones that he's being.
Well, he's also been running from the UK for 6 years for beating a woman on video.
Exactly.
There's plenty of shady stuff around.
He took the Sean Connery advice about when a woman steps out of line, you don't use a closed fist, you use an open fist, and you put her back in line, unless she likes it. And then that's another conversation for another day.
Then it's just Big Brother, and that's the whole thing there. Yeah, if you guys are familiar with that story.
I think Andrew Tate just really, really wants to be a lizard person, and he's just mad that he isn't yet.
It feels that way. Sorry, just a little bit more conspiratorial here. I'll go a little unhinged. Him and his brother are walking out doing this in a very awkward. His brother walks out doing this and turning towards the camera constantly. And then when Andrew Tate gets in the back of the police vehicle, he holds up his fingers and does a triangle and then puts them down as soon as the camera starts to move away.
Hey,
so
Tom, have you noticed
maybe he's
triangle
signaling that he
TJ's,
wants to be a lizard
t-shirt?
person.
It's a conspiracy.
Well,
PJ is Illuminati.
I'm not saying I don't want to be a lizard person.
Don't we all, though?
just like Jeremy Kaufman. Jeremy Kaufman wants to be a lizard person.
Yeah.
You know, the libertarian from New Jersey we talked about?
New Jersey or New Hampshire, one of the two,
Yeah, he was very open about wanting to be a lizard person.
Right.
He wore the costume.
And he wanted to make the military gay again, which I am full support of. Yeah. Make
war gay again.
Or that's what it was. Make war gay again.
War is gay. That's fine. It was a good ad.
It was, yeah.
It was the best ad.
Disappointing he lost, and I don't even care about his policies. I wanted him for the ads.
Well, actually, it was the second best ad. The first best ad was from that grandma that was rapping for her her campaign video.
Can we find that, by the way, talking about the best thing that happened in 2022?
Jesus is my aim? Is that the one you're referring to?
I think it's the same woman or one that's similar, but it's not that one.
Yeah, wasn't she running for Congress, right? Was she running for Congress in Utah, I think, wasn't it?
I don't honestly remember the details.
I think you guys were a little hard on the Andrew Tate, by the way. We don't have any evidence. All we have is a headline. Like, okay, if you knew that Romania was corrupt as hell, and you knew that at any point in time you could just call them and be like, hey, what do you know about Andrew Tate? Because you guys are doing surveillance just like we are. What could you connect as two dots that aren't criminal, but tie them up and make them look criminal enough because they're seedy? And we can spin that to Americans as he's a big bad boy. And maybe he's really deep, seedy, dark, ugly, gross, all the nasty prostitution, pimping, etc. Maybe he's doing all of that and more. Maybe there's even some mafioso-ness attached to it, but it is really odd that they only care about that from him now after the Greta thing, and they don't care about the white collar version of it, which is Epstein in DC and in Miami.
Yeah, I think I said that though. I think I said like it can be true that this is opportune, and I still think he's a scumbag. Yeah. But people,
And I think Greta.
I'm not making any point no one else has yet.
Too.
And we're not relying on any evidence beyond what Andrew Tate has himself said. I think we're just kind of in
Abby, you're
place
assuming everything that you've asserted so far. You've made it all up.
It's one of those when people tell you who they are, believe them. Like he's actively told us he's this person, and you either have to say he's exaggerating, it's for the bit, or it's true.
To play devil's advocate, it literally could be that it's all for clicks.
Right. I'm definitely voting for Kanye, Tate, and
this could be it too. Like it all could be like he could have hired actors to pretend to be cops.
So true.
Like
That's what I'm saying. You just don't know.
Didn't he have a video of him as a pimp breaking someone in? And then the woman came out to say that it was actually all staged. So not sure what's character, what's real. This is what I was telling you guys yesterday.
That's a really good point.
He told Piers Morgan, he's like, I'm playing a caricature. And so when you hear me make these bombastic and caustic and inane statements, you know what they are. I know what they are. If the people listening don't know what they are, then shame on them. They're stupid. And that was Piers' whole problem with him is like, well, people don't know the difference. And it's like, it's because of the media telling them lies about it. If the media said Andrew Tate doesn't really mean these things, he's a character, then no one would have a problem.
Right.
Because Carlos Mencia was a character and no one had a problem. But if he came out today, it'd be insane.
And I feel like the Kaufman stuff has come back so hard. And like I have a problem with this stuff. And maybe it's just personally for me. Whereas like I want public figures. I want to know what they believe. And I know that so many people have turned to the Kaufman-esque stuff.
It's an easy out. Like Alex Stein really can say that space is fake and gay. And then when someone presses him on it, he's like, I don't know. I'm just saying. And then he can always just like deny that he actually meant it.
You know what though? I feel like Alex Stein is the most like easy to tell when he's joking. Like he does the Kaufman stuff, but I don't think he's as like
Andy Kaufman we're talking about, right?
Is that what I said?
No, Alex Kaufman.
Alex Stein?
Alex Stein is
Jeremy Kaufman. He wanted to be a lizard.
Gosh dang.
No, I knew
Andy Kaufman is who I'm trying to say.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we weren't talking about Jeremy.
I don't know
Kaufman.
when people say Kaufman-esque, that's what we're
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I think you're right.
Do we want to see this granny rap though? Because I'm really dying to see this.
Yep.
All right. Come on.
Any minute. Oh yeah.
Wrap your head around this wrapper.
Hey, Utah District 12, listen up right here. There's a new name on the ballot for the Senate this year.
She's 80 years old,
Oh, come
mother
on.
of 9, mother of 35.
I wanted to
Dude,
just see the
is
video.
that Barbara? Is that Barbara Walters?
I guess that's the other story that we should get into.
Linda Paulson
let
is
us-
75.
It was
Just let us
that
from
Miller
one
died?
story to
That we said
another.
that Miller had passed away?
No,
this is some
Baba
wishful
Wawa.
thinking.
Yeah, wishful
Baba
thinking.
Wawa.
Baba
R.I.P.
Wawa
Bette
passed
Miller.
away. Yeah.
Babs, come on, Babs, you're a newswoman. Back me up on this.
And,
Well, the
and
last
Pope
couple weeks,
Benedict.
yeah, the
Oh
last
my gosh, you
the
forgot
last
about
couple
that.
months of Barbara Walters' life, they had her locked up in her New York apartment thing because she was obviously very gone with dementia already, and she would try to escape, and she was very
That's
physical.
not an excuse to lock someone up, Frank. We just put them in the White House.
Well,
Lock them up
she was
in
she
the
was
White House.
she was loose with her tongue. She was you're going out onto the street in the city just telling people about Epstein's Island and stuff. They had to lock her up and not let her out again.
Michelle Obama. I mean, Michael Obama. I mean,
Yeah.
Mohap, she just kept saying Michael has a penis, and they're
Well, I
like,
was gonna
"Who?"
say she didn't make the same mistake as Joan Rivers, at least, and say Michael Obama.
Well, they just waited. They had Babs go back to her house and waited out instead of Joan Riversing her. But
Right.
yeah, Babs, we can't keep calling her that. Barbara Walters, she's the one who got so flustered with Norm Macdonald on The View and told him to shut up and he was never going to be, his career was over
That's
because
right.
he kept saying, Bill Clinton killed a guy. And then she's
You
like,
guys didn't know that?
You can't say this on TV and you're supposed to be funny. And he's like, come on, Barbara, you're a newswoman. Back me up here. And she kept just nailing her. That's funny.
Might be my favorite, and there's many to choose from. It might be my
I know what I
favorite
said,
Norm
Abby.
Macdonald moment.
did he also slip into OJ did it too in that interview?
Not
No,
that
I think
one.
he just stuck hard to the you guys didn't know that Bill Clinton killed a guy?
They're like, why do you like Bush? He's like, well, I think he's a decent
didn't
man.
kill
And
anybody.
you want to get the homicide out of the White House.
He didn't kill a guy.
Well, later he killed 1.6 million Iraqis, but I mean,
I thought
not
you were
American
gonna go with-
citizens.
I thought you were going to go with 3,000 people in the Twin Towers.
Well, that
yeah.
was Iran.
Was
Or are we not saying that?
Was it?
I don't know. Which
No,
one
it was Saudi
which is
Arabia
it
and
Saudi
Israel together.
Arabia?
Just
Did
to,
I- yeah.
They wanted to set up Iran. They wanted to make sure we can go and take down Iraq,
Was it
Iran,
Bibi?
Afghanistan.
Was it Bibi? I thought it was
Yeah, because the
Bibi that set it all
Saudis hate them, and so do the Israelis. So they all worked it out together. Mossad clacked up with Saudis and put 19 people on
So
some
at least
planes.
bring him on stream if you're going to talk about BB here. Okay, come on. Let's not talk about him behind his back.
Oh wait, I have that story. Hold on.
about BB flying to planes into the Twin Towers?
No, even better. Did we talk about this yet? Another bad story for the year, just sneaking one in under the wire on December 29th. Netanyahu is back. Netanyahu returns to power. This is Bibi Netanyahu, the sequel.
So what you're
Sworn
saying
in
is-
as Prime Minister of Israel again. And here's the asinine part. This new government, it's the same government, is determined to restore governance, peace, and personal security to the citizens of Israel. I will say this, Bibi has a really sweet, chocolatey, deep voice, but that's it.
Yeah, so BB is the equivalent to what happens in WWE when they portray somebody as being a good character, then he goes bad. So he's playing the bad character now.
Oh, that could be. Or
The
maybe
heel.
he was
He's a-
always
he's
evil.
heel. Yeah.
He's back as his evil twin, and we found out he was always that way.
I feel like this shows the power that Alex Jones still has. That if you go on his show, you can be reelected. So,
Is that what happened? Bibi Netanyahu went. Oh, I was gonna say I missed it. I know that he's Mossad. I didn't.
Not see? How did you
Was it
miss
the
it?
Kanye interview when Kanye came on?
That was right over my head. I feel ashamed.
that was a good joke too. I'm
It
proud
was.
of that joke.
And you should be. I'm embarrassed.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Was there
You're
a
wrong.
better? Thank you.
Oh, you meant on one particular thing? I'm sorry.
For
I'll
this
listen.
particular thing, was there a better viable candidate than BB? Because it was my understanding. and
Any other Jew, and then
anybody else?
any other citizen of the world.
But somebody who actually ran was I thought he was the lesser of the evils.
I don't know.
I could definitely be wrong about this.
I'll just admit that I have no idea.
I think
I've
over
paid
there
zero
right now, it's
attention to
like
this.
which evil hand is wearing the colored glove. this year.
Sure.
Like that's over there. Like we still have a fight now against a uniparty, whereas like 20 years ago, we didn't know. It was Clinton and Bush, and they
Sure.
were having their own little internal spat within politics. And so it was like, oh, you're never going to get in the club. And now we have people breaking through the club. And I think over there, they're like, we need to protect the inner rings of the club. And I think that's where it's all inner rung.
This is a New Year's resolution of mine to understand Jewish politics more.
Visit Israel.
Yeah.
They'll beat you with a stick for not being Jewish.
Or visit Congress.
And then you'll know the politics of it. Everyone there is worth like over $1 million in U.S. tax dollars every year.
I've been to Hollywood. Is that close enough?
PJ.
Go to Brooklyn.
How dare you?
I made the pilgrimage to Brooklyn.
How dare you?
Well, I think we should we probably get to the super chats? We've got about 2 hours.
Yeah, let's do a last call here. Last call for the last round of the Last American Pubcast of the year. last 2022. Anyone? I got any favorite moments of their 2022? I got married this year. That was mine.
That's huge, Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boy, does she regret it. No.
She was blinking 3 long blinks and then 3 short blinks and then 3 long blinks when I saw her yesterday. Does that mean something? Or?
Well, yeah, here's what the craziest thing was. I got her, she asked for books for Christmas and she had Morse code was the only one she demanded over and over. So I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have to say, Tom's wife is both incredibly pretty and
smoking hot
and really nice. She is a sweetheart.
You wouldn't know it looking at me, but geez Louise, did I
She has
knock
the
it out of the
cutest
park.
little dimples. It's fantastic.
Don't tell them everything.
So I gotta keep my secrets. No, for me, I got to meet all the Daily Wire hosts this year and tour the Daily Wire. I got to tour the Blaze Studios without meeting many people. I got to meet Seth Dillon. It was just a really big year for me.
That's amazing.
And PJ.
Yeah, that's a wild card.
Insert whoopee cushion effect.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you guys?
You didn't have one?
Wait, PJ, you had one? Or are you just gonna?
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say it was cool getting to start Conspiracy Pilled and meet my co-host and meet Tom, but now I just feel like it's not a big deal. So no, I mean honestly, like I decided at the end of last year that I really wanted to get back into podcasting. I'd taken a break from it, and it's just been a whirlwind year of just meeting amazing people, doing something that I love, taking this further than I ever have before. And I met so many great people. I met Rob. I've met and made great friendships. So it's been a really good year for me. I feel like I've worked harder this year than I've ever worked in my life. And Abby knows some of this. I never sleep. But it's been amazing. And I just really can't wait to see what happens in 2023.
Yeah, for people that are just watching this for the first time, wondering like, so PJ and Abby, no, they're just together for the weekend. Like this is just they're visiting. They're not. This isn't. You're not going to see this continue. You're not wondering like why aren't they normally on screen together? Like if they're just always together. This is
because I make her stay in the room. Her pits stink. We already talked about this. She just keeps lifting her arm. I'm like, yeah.
I'm noticing people might be watching this for the first time,
right?
And if they're wondering, there's
we stream a podcast together from 1,000 miles apart. Now we get to we're hanging out this week. So.
Yeah, I mean, my husband drove up here to Michigan. We've been hanging out with PJ's family, so it's been pretty cool.
Yeah, they made it through the winter storm.
I didn't know if that was explained, so I just figured I'd call that out.
That's good.
Before people got weird ideas like, wait, I have a conspiracy. They were sharing a frame.
We're trying to create conspiracies around our show so people will show up. They'll be like, what's
yeah.
Yeah. So what about you, Frank?
Like that PJ's hair's not really orange. He just dyes it.
Yeah.
It's because
it's just the lighting.
It's Berlin blonde, and he's just like, oh shit, I gotta dye this, otherwise it's obvious.
I'm actually an albino black man, but
and so he can get into those woke movies and not be questioned.
Okay, here's my conspiracy. So you know that trans race is obviously not real to you and I, but to the future people, it will be, just like transgender is. And Madonna, I think, will in the future be argued retrospectively as a transracial person because she adopted like these handful of black kids in addition to her other children who are natural, but she has 4, I think, African children who are like dark black. And then I know I said that real hard, like just like PJ's shirt, like super dark, like getting lost in it, like chemically dark.
Hard or dark.
Hard. I can't believe you just said that. I'm the one who takes it too
It's
far.
after 9, boy. It's after 9 o'clock on a Saturday, and we are going down with the ship. No,
all right, let's keep going.
Madonna lives in Europe, I think, so that's allowed. That would have been allowed in England.
That was so good.
Cheers. Yeah, that's funny. Madonna has all these black kids, and speaking of black people, she now also dyed her hair super red and is dressing more and more like she looks like she wants to be seen as albino. And if you look at her Instagram, her like, look at Madonna's lingerie outfit over the holidays. It's always like when you open a new tab, Yahoo will try to get you these like stupid clickbait things. I almost did it a third time with the chips. Madonna looks like she's trying to look albino. I'm just saying, throw it out there. Right. She looks like she wants to be transracial.
I think she's trying to be trans species. She looks like a straight up alien at this point. Like honestly. She looks like a gray if they were like 3 feet taller. But I don't know.
I'm gonna find a photo.
Well, we got these 2 super chats. We'll go ahead and make sure we put up on the screen here. We got one from Ivan Adams says, "This is about the government. This is the government our forefathers warned us about."
True.
Yeah. Facts. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much, Ivan. And we also had the one that came in from Ocean Breeze Salty that said, "First adjourno for the new year. Stop by the Ancient Order of Men, everyone," which is currently going right now.
Awesome. So Thank you, Ocean Breeze Salty.
After we finish up here. And then, Tom, we had a couple ones over on Rumble that if you wanted to highlight them again.
Yep, I'll bounce that up right now. We just had this one come in from Blasian Babies 2020 saying, "Madonna looks like a Balenciaga pedophile." And I will show you evidence of that.
You can change that from looks like to is.
Is, right.
Yeah, is.
Mr. DJs had said, "Didn't we have a video of him, Andrew Tate, breaking someone in as a character? Was it staged? Not sure what's character, what's real. If he's any publicity is good publicity, etc."
Right.
Thank you
exactly.
for that.
That makes the whole thing very difficult to parse out.
He also asked, "How many quality criminal elite overlords do we got? The old ones that built it are degrading as they approach not waking up. New ones are stupid and inexperienced, both impatient and jumping the gun."
Right.
PA Mace for $10 says, "Cheers, praying for more people to wake up in 2023. Mr. DJ says, "Maybe something about the open border there's no problems with. Easy to make undocumented people vanish."
Unfortunately, that is too true. Yeah.
And then I think that was the last one here. "I don't trust the evil people to modify our vaccines or our medicine to make it better for the population or population reduction. No studies in the cause, but didn't total miscarriages, side effects, etc. mysteriously spike?"
The exact way we all predicted they would. Yeah, I mean, it's not like Bill Gates went out and said that he was creating vaccines to reduce the population either. Holy smokes. I looked up. I was looking down at my drink, and then I looked back at the screen, and I was like, what?
She looks like Aurelian. She's definitely Aurelian.
So I'm just saying, you've seen albinos, and now you've seen Madonna in 2022. And you tell me which one looks more like she wants to be albino.
I think she wants to be a Nephilim. Like, what is
You'll
that?
have to explain.
Just
part demon.
Yeah, basically. Demonic essentially is what I was saying.
It's the religion.
Oh, the Nephilim. I understand.
Yeah. The religion that hates aging is honestly what I think it is. She's had so much plastic surgery to try to look like she isn't aging.
Do you think that she just had to replace the adrenochrome with plastic surgery after the supply ran a little dry?
I mean, we all see, everyone thinks it's the veganism, but Robert Downey Jr. without his adrenochrome looks shit.
Really? Does he look bad?
He looks really bad. It's become a meme this week of like, remember when he was on drugs and he looked like a decent human being, and now he's a vegan and he looks like
he looked better when he was on drugs.
He looks like an aged lesbian. You know
what? I need to find this out. Like right now,
would that be a fair way to call it? He looks like an old lesbian.
That's fair.
Oh, he shaved his head. Now he looks like if Jim Carrey and Ellen had a baby.
Nice.
That's
aged lesbian.
That's also what an aged lesbian would look like. Yeah. I feel like Jim Carrey's just like 1 or 2% of testosterone away from looking like a lesbian right now too. So
the chat needs to see a photo, I think.
Yeah.
You got one?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Way to end 2022.
Oh, he's got shade. He's got like the Mugatu. He's got like Mugatu lenses and a shaved head, and he's like wearing a single colored suit. He looks like he's in an 80s porn.
We'll just take your word for it, Dom.
Oh, I don't know. I'm asking you.
Oh, I thought you were throwing it up on the screen. I'm like, let's go.
No, that's what he was looking like. That's what.
Okay.
Did you see what he was wearing?
Do you have it?
We're working on it.
No, you guys can pull it up.
Stand by.
I have this for you.
Images. It should probably pop up.
New Year's Eve.
All right, here, put it back up there. I'll type in vegan. You have the mouse. We're like two people working
operating
one
keyboard.
computer.
Yeah, and one of us is a woman.
Yeah.
Here, you guys. Good Lord Almighty.
Right there it is. Yeah.
Oh,
Don't do that one.
There
we
go.
Can you click on that down there?
Here we go.
Oh my gosh, are you still trying to find it?
Yeah.
Trying to teach Abby technology is what
Yeah,
it
I'm
is.
such a boomer woman.
Yep. That is not Iron Man.
It's not veganism though. It's him with his adrenochrome. I don't think that's. I mean, I'm
Oh
not
my
a fan of
gosh. All right, you guys
veganism.
ready? I have another one that maybe
Let's do it.
It looks worse. I don't know if it's better.
Oh.
Look at these. Look, these two in back to back. I'm like, this is where I feel like he looks like he's in a Nickelodeon. Like, is he a slime host? Is he hosting a slime award?
What? No.
He looks like Moby.
Why?
Moby,
he looks
yeah.
like Phoebe.
Sean King. He looks like
Phoebe,
Sean
I
King.
like it. Oh my gosh, he does.
But this one in the green, I was like, okay, so is he
Accurate.
playing Jim Carrey with no hair? Is he playing like Harry Carey Jim Carrey? Because this is as if.
With the green, he's playing. I'm not turtly enough for the Turtle Club.
So
Oh, yeah, I thought he was
accurate.
being a pistachio, but yeah, you're right.
That's like the one movie I have watched in my life.
Yeah, I love that movie. That's the one movie I've made. You guys have no idea what it's like having Abby here for a week. I've made 5,000 movie references, and that's the first one she's got.
Master of Disguise.
Yeah,
That's
Master of
because my
Disguise.
dad loved it.
Yeah.
We watched it over and over and over.
Me and my
Now, I know
sister
his last
quoted
name is
Tommy Boy, like,
Disguisey.
halfway through.
I still have not seen the movie all the way through. It's hard to watch. It's like,
It
by the time
is.
you get to like the middle part where it's
I liked it more when I was a kid. I watched it again when I was an adult, and I was like, "Oh,
I
this is
still
so
love that movie.
cringy."
It's kind of how Tommy Boy is though. As an adult, you watch it again and you're like, yeah, I can see how like as a teen or like a young person would like this, but like an adult, you watch Tommy Boy and you're like, yep, you have to be in a mood for this.
Yeah, maybe I just love Tommy Boy so much. It doesn't. Yeah, I still love it.
I also just kind of like that was my favorite movie as a kid, so now it's worn in. I'm like, okay, yeah, you've overworn. You're welcome, Tommy Boy.
Look like Steven Tyler and Howie Mandel.
Howie Mandel, that's another one. Yeah, nailed it.
Yeah.
All right.
Nailed it.
All right. I think we can go ahead and wrap up and hope everyone has a fantastic new year out there. Whoever's going to stay up.
Yeah, drive safely, whoever you are.
Yeah. I'll probably be going to bed before midnight, as we typically do.
Yeah, if Abby was sober, she still wouldn't drive safely, so she's not going. Yeah.
Oh my god.
And I'm not.
Yeah.
Sober.
Or driving. I thought that's what you were going to say.
driving.
Sorry, go ahead, Frank.
I was going to say, we appreciate you guys coming back or being part of tonight's live stream. Thank you for allowing us to be able to help entertain you guys on tonight's New Year's Eve. If you weren't doing anything outside of partying with other people and you were just at home hanging out and looking to be entertained, hopefully we were able to accomplish that tonight. We will be back next week at 7 p.m. Eastern time next Saturday. So we look forward to seeing you guys come back here. Make sure you tell a friend and tell them to share out the streams and the channel. So with that being said, you guys got anything left before we go?
Nope.
Yeah, happy New Year. Have a
Happy New
great end of year 22 if you're listening. And if you're watching, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure that you're subscribed to everyone that you see, or at least 3 out of 4 ain't bad. And then if you... I'm not saying who you can leave out,
I
Abby.
get it, you guys. I get it.
And then, yeah, otherwise have a wonderful beginning of your 23. And don't forget to check out all the different channels, including Conspiracy Pilled, America Floats, Let's Be Frank, and the Last American Pubcast on all major platforms. And by those, I mean all the new tech, not YouTube, not Google, not Facebook, not Twitter, but everybody else.
I agree with that. Have a happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year, everyone.